Welcome back, everyone, to Rivals Fight Night. Now going to North America, show number 3. ZP here with Jake, and Jake, you look at that. It's a C9, but it's not the letter C. It's the actual ocean as Jeff pulls his own teammates off the point. Oh man, just the fact that we've had the phrase C9 in that definition, that's what I'll take away from that match.
Yeah, we got to be honest. He's got to really get out the ladder, start grinding the Jeff, build up the experience. I think that's clearly what this match is screaming for, is some stronger Jeff gameplay. It's professional players. They just don't have it on the Jeff like that. We need to get the Jeff one tricks in here.
That's right, a whole new ocean of discovery to be had. But if you're just tuning in, we're heading into the North American portion of our show, and you might be wondering what is going on here. What is the format of the tournament? Well, we got you covered here at Rivals Fight Night. We kick things off in every region with our with our challengers match, which is a best of 5, and the winner of our challengers match goes on into the money match. We invite some of the best teams around in each region every week. Try and spread around the top 5 or 6 teams. But you look at our setup here today, Jake, on the North American side, looks pretty stacked. We got Envy with a whole lot of historical hero shooter talent up against Sentinels, one of the very best and most decorated teams in Marvel Rivals so far on the NA end. And the winner goes against 100 Thieves, who so far has looked unstoppable.
Yeah, 100 Thieves has looked like pretty solidly the best team in NA, although they've been competitive at times with the Sentinel squad over the history of Marvel Rivals. I think Team Envy is the big question mark for a lot of fans. This is a team we haven't seen so much of in competitive Marvel Rivals. They're a squad that's been relatively newly brought together. So this is a big opportunity for them, I think, to show what they've got and to set their standard against, I think, the standard bearers of North America and Sentinels and 100 Thieves. So a big opportunity for them. But even this first challenger match is going to be a tough test. Sentinels has been consistently in that top 2, has at times lost 100 Thieves. Maybe I think it's fair to say that they are going to be the favorites in that challenger match, whoever faces them. But Sentinels are no easy team to shut down. They've shown a lot of strategic diversity over the last weeks and months in Marvel Rivals.
And we'll take a look at Sentinels roster. Obviously, a lot of very familiar names at this point. And, it's interesting you bring up the diversity point, right? Because for Sentinels, this is a team that more than others is willing to go, hey, we're gonna give triple Vanguard strategies a shot. We might try triple strategist. They're not as locked into 2-2-2 as some other teams are, but obviously the results may vary, because you look at their results versus 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves just like, nah, we'll just run the hell all day and it'll be fine.
Yeah, I think 2-2-2 is probably arguably the dominant look right now in Rivals, but I think in the long term, it does bode well for Sentinels that they're willing to flex out of it, because you got to think, there's going to be patches, there's going to be changes to the game, and this 2-2-2 meta may not last forever. So I think for the future in the long term, that potentially looks like a strength for Sentinels, that they have players who are willing to go across roles. I think many people playing Rivals at home in ranked have realized that's actually super important to be able to rank up, that you can fill for what the team needs. However, you're absolutely right. I think right now 2-2-2 looks very dominant. It looks like what the best teams are running pretty consistently. So I'm curious to see if Sentinels are going to stick with those change-ups, or we got Super Gomez and Amazing. These guys are great on duelists. Maybe you don't need to be too innovative here, especially in the challenger match.
And of course, the opposition, it is the return of Team Envy, where it's kind of comical to me, Jake, where you think about the history of Envy as an org, where, Hastro very much into hero shooters, right? And a new hero shooter comes out, and it's like Hastro, it's like Undertaker getting out of the casket is like, I must return. And suddenly Envy is back. And look, a lot of very familiar names on this roster within the hero shooter history.
Yeah, I think definitely eyes drawn to players like Space in the Vanguard. Cal is one that maybe people aren't familiar with. Cal had a lot of success in Overwatch 2, but maybe later in the history of the game than some of these other players on both teams. But Cal has really impressed me. So I think for the duelist line, that's a player I really have my eyes on for Envy. I think Cal pretty much needs to have a big game here to lead the charge here for Envy and be the standard bearer against a Sentinel squad that, aside from 100 Thieves, hasn't really been contested so much in North America.
Also, the great thing about the Envy roster having this history is that you have historical teammate support. Hydration, used to play with Remix back in the day, has been close with Remix over a long period of time. Drop some great words of support for, whoa. Great words of support.
Calling him out. And this is a tough match to be called out in because, frankly, I think Sentinels are a pretty heavy favorite right now. As good as 100 Thieves look, in this Challenger match, Envy is so much more of an X factor. I don't really have the same expectations of that squad, frankly, as I do of Sentinels, with how much experience Sentinels has, how long they've been together as a team. From a coordination perspective, I think that's going to be a real test for Envy. However, you would think as individuals with all their experience in the genre, maybe they'd be able to put up a good fight. I think a lot of fans are going to be watching this Envy team closely in this series as a real test for, what's their potential here in Rivals.
Well, speaking of words of support, we got some support cast here too on the analyst end. That's right. We're bringing back in Achilleos for our Challenger match in North America. I read the run of show, Seth. This is the proper time to intro you.
Yeah,
exactly
but I had so many things to say when you're going over the Sentinels roster because I got to cast them last week, and now the time is it's past. I got to wait until we get into the map draft to really be able to cover the topics that I wanted to cover. Also, you still have Hydration out there in the chat saying #IRemixLose. So he's continuing on the hate train. D1 hater right there, and sometimes you love to see that. But I'm excited for this one. I think Sentinels had quite a big stumble last week, and I think if Envy comes in with some decent prep and Sentinels continue to kind of fall into the same treads that they were in last week, that this could be them getting denied that grand finals matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what Envy has been cooking, but also Sentinels and how they've been adapting and, trying to elevate their level of play to bring it right back to 100 Thieves. But first map is going to be Royal Palace, where we head to here again. I believe the teams are pretty close to ready, but it's North America. You never know. North America, it's historically the land where you think you're about to go to the lobby.
How many players will be using the bathroom right as we ask them to go to the lobby? It's not about
you have to have one player in the bathroom at all times, actually. So when one player dies in game, then they run to the bathroom, and then you just kind of rotate off of that, and then there's just this consistent delay that's happening.
It's ridiculous just how consistent that is. But I think for me, Jake, the big question going into this, for me, is going to be on the Sentinels end. How often are they going to get off 2-2-2 and do the more combination compositions, right? When they do triple Vanguard or triple Strategist, or will they just follow the 100 Thieves example and just go, you know what? Maybe it's time to work in the fundamentals, go more in the 2-2-2 direction, especially versus Envy, which they might see as a weaker team than 100 Thieves, at least from the jump.
I do think the ban protect phase, probably does create opportunities to get off the core 2-2-2, but with how good 100 Thieves has looked, I feel like you've got to sort of look to them and even a team like Virtus Pro across the pond in Europe as being the standard bearers right now. And while in the past, in some of the previous tournaments in Rivals, Sentinels has been a squad that has innovated with the triple Vanguard or triple Strategist setups and has won with them, has made them look really strong, especially on certain maps and in certain ban pick scenarios. But like you guys said, I think probably fair to say that maybe 2-2-2 is just a bit too strong right now with some of these duelists just being so critical in the meta. You think about Hela, Winter Soldier, Namor, and even Wolverine, that really changes the game drastically and sort of acts as a quasi third Vanguard, even though he is a duelist.
Yeah, I think for me, one of the things that I'm looking to see is that 2-2-2. I think that when they did shift back over to that in the series versus 100 Thieves, that's where we were seeing a bit more liveliness from Sentinels. That's where we were seeing a bit more impact coming through compared to when they were trying to run the triple brains farting. It's still early.
Triple Strategist is
strategist. There we go. That's the word that I was looking through. I almost said specialist. I'm like, that's not correct. Strategist from them. But the other thing that we need to be seeing is some more leveled up performances from Rymazing and Super Gomez, because they were kind of just getting manhandled by 100 Thieves last week. Kaluj as well, just kind of on an island, oftentimes just getting juggled into, being surrounded by that 100 Thieves squad. So Sentinels weren't able to keep him protected. And I think a big part of that also did come down to what we were seeing in the ban protects, which was kind of Armori getting very much targeted with a lot of those bans, taking that Loki out of the equation, et cetera, to just make sure that they were not on, comfort picks in that series.
Yeah, and I mean,
they are just it's a big moment for Sentinels, right? They got shut down pretty hard last week. I think that's the type of thing that makes a team that has had a lot of success start to reevaluate things. And it puts everyone in a position of look, you can't really pretend like there's not a problem when we just got 3-0'd. You need to be making changes. You need to be adapting. And I think this is a big test for somebody like Crimzo as the coach and also sort of the flex player for the team. What can he bring to the table as far as a new, better look for Sentinels? I think this is a team that really needs to perform against 100 Thieves, wants that to be a true rivalry. But if you're losing 3-0, it doesn't feel like much of a rivalry. And I know that the 100 Thieves ownership is going to be feeling pretty dang good about their position based on last week's performance.
Yeah, but I think for Sentinels, there's something said about, what is going on here? We're the teams here. This is the words of support.
OGs in force.
Good old fact fiction.
Yeah, fact fiction comes in. There's a lot of authenticity here, and hydration just finding new ways to just, nothing but love, clearly, from former teammates. But right now, the teams are messing a little bit with servers. It wasn't bathroom related, but we should be getting an MO. And what I was going to say for Sentinels is that, when you're on top, you have to get punched in the mouth a little bit to get adaptation, right? So for Sentinels, anytime you have a #1 team, suddenly go down a bit, they're the types of teams I expect to bounce back the most and get the most meaningful strategy adaptation from week to week, right? So honestly, that's why I'm excited to see what Sentinels is going to come in with here. I mean, already even in Marvel Rivals Invitational, right? They were able to take a map off 100 Thieves the last time they played. So there was improvement to be had, but now we've had even more time, and we'll get to see what comes into play here on Royal Palace. Jake, as we end the domination, anything you're particularly looking out for here that might be a little bit different from the other game modes?
I think it was a great call out from Achilleos there on the duelist. I think that's something that we're going to need to see have big games here from Sentinels and also from Envy. Cal and NK, I think, can be real shooters on this squad. So, if Envy is going to unseat Sentinels, we've been focusing on Sentinels so much as like maybe the expected team to go on here. But, Seth, you also made this great point of like, yeah, but Sentinels got kind of rocked last week. And while they could bounce back and be a lot stronger, that also shows vulnerability that a team like Envy could come in with confidence and try to exploit. So this match, I think, is going to be an exciting one for Envy fans as they hope to see that this team they put together can be a serious threat here in North America.
Fully agree. I think just sticking to the 2-2 off the rip, especially Sentinels, if you want to play around a little bit more with it, given how much triple specialist that you were kind of leaning on last week. If you want to lean into what kind of has been leading the charge and has been dominant over the last several weeks for VP, and then for 100 Thieves last week, I think that's going to be good. They should feel confident coming into this versus Envy, but that's when, if confidence is misplaced and Envy comes out and they do have Cal fragging and we don't have, Gomez and Ramazing stepping up, that's when you get caught off guard, and that's when complacency very much backfires into your own face. So I think Sentinels, I want to see them experiment around a little bit with a little bit more 2-2-2, play it a bit more standard, just try to get some critical picks in, some solid protects here for, your key players. So maybe even using a protect onto somebody like Aramori, who can have an immense amount of impact from that specialist position. I think that could also be very good.
Well, right now, I will say we are struggling a little bit on the base mechanics right now because the players got on the server, but because the players have to host the lobby. No, the players hosted the lobby, but they didn't put in the proper settings. They started with the no ban lobby. The players have scrimmed and have been in the trenches. Jake, sometimes it comes into match time and you just fumble right on the lobby settings. So, taking a little bit more time here.
Yeah, it's, I think for both teams, any kind of delay is going to be interesting to see how it affects the mental status of the squads. I think Sentinels being a team that has probably come into this and been very focused on 100 Thieves. Like, you got to think for Sentinels, they've been so consistently, like these two squads really have been like #1 and #2, trading places at times throughout the history. But for a team like Envy, this is a moment to make a splash, a moment to come in and maybe hope that you catch Sentinels off guard. Because I think Sentinels might see this as an easy or free win, since no one except 100 Thieves, formerly Mutants, was a threat to them. And so for Envy, maybe you get to come into this match being a little bit of a dark horse. Maybe Sentinels has no prep on you. Can you exploit that? Can you really attack? And already kind of the respect ban, Doctor Strange, 2 Vanguards banned out here. And I think these are both great Kaluge heroes.
This is going to shake up the front line perhaps a little bit here. I'm curious to see what Vanguards they land. I mean, obviously, strong ones such as Thing, Groot, still going to be available here for either side to try to utilize. But this does take away a lot of the stock standard, and it's a lot of comfort as well from Sentinels with the Kaluge off the Strange. So Thing Protect. Sentinels, I'm curious, do you go for the support? Yes, this is exactly what I was talking about. This is exactly what I want to see. Just keeping this Loki protected. It's something that they did not get to play at all versus 100 Thieves.
If you're Envy, you might want to ban the Venom right now. If you don't ban the Venom, I think things could be rough. Sentinels, historically, when they can play a Venom, especially Domination, they like running it. Instead, they banned the Luna Snow, so... I mean, it's a little questionable because, like, if Sentinels does open with the Venom comp that they've run a lot, right? You would like having the option of using the more with Luna. You now don't have that option, Jake.
I do think it's, you know, that is a factor. I think they want to ban the double Luna copy from Loki. That can be like super annoying if you lose point first. The stability that, you know, double Luna ult gives you with the Loki copy is a little ridiculous, especially for teams like Sentinels. So I think we're really confident about exploiting that combo. Maybe for Team Envy, maybe a little bit more deathmatch focused. They would like something like Mantis to come out. So I think there's a logic to this. It also blocks the Namor team up, which is another problem for this aggressive dive setup. But honestly, regardless of which dive vanguards we see, I'm just curious what the lineup is overall, because typically Strange or Magneto, I mean, at least one of those is almost a perma pick right now in Rivals. So we're going to see something new here on Royal Palace.
I'm going to get out of your hair in just a second, but the last thing I wanted to say was that Kaluj has played this Thor in the past. If Amazing flips over, goes to something like the Hela, you could have that with the Loki and get the triple little team up there. But Kaluj on Thor, I think it's overall going to be probably pretty strong.
Yeah, and not unexpected here at all, Jake. Take a look at what Sentinels is running. They're coming out here with Hogs on the Venom, something that Hogs has really enjoyed playing quite a bit. And, you know, tank mirror match here. I mean, you look at it, but different choices when it comes to strategists.
Yeah, and they're getting the Star-Lord team up with the Adam Warlock. For Korova, Adam Warlock has been a real specialty, something I'm looking to have a big performance in that game. That said, Envy has a really powerful front-to-back poke here, so the strategists are going to need to be working overtime for Sentinels.
And for Sentinels, you know, the versatility on the duels is also interesting, just because Super Gomez can be on the Star-Lord or Raimez can be on the Star-Lord. Korova, though, already Jake, gets a super early punish onto Remix, and, you know, hydration somewhere.
He's laughing all the way to the bank right now. that was a pretty big mistake. I think did he have adaptive shield? He just didn't pop it in time. He got bursted so fast for a Venom. Remix, though, trades back onto Super Gomez. Hogs pressured out, forces the skill, but just the res onto Super Gomez. So with Cal dropping, it ends up being worth it, and Sentinels really leveraging this composition and the team up for their advantage.
Yeah, right now it hasn't been much of team fights, just been pickoffs before the team fights, but Sentinels in full control the whole way through. Now look at Kaluj just punching his way through the front right now, 25% away from clobbering time. Super Gomez in, laying damage from the back. There we go, invisible boundary gonna be used pretty early into the fight. Envy looking for a way in. Sleepy, of course, got Mischief setting that up. Meanwhile, back row Super Gomez, Galactic Legend gonna be popped into the back. Looking for pickoffs, gets one already, invisible woman down. And nice, easy cleanup here, Jake, for the Sentinels.
It's easy, but it is expensive here. That's a pretty big deployment. Forced to use the Adam Warlock res. May not have been necessary there, but just for safety from Korova. I mean, he does deal so much damage on this Adam Warlock. There's something to be said for just locking in the fight win. And Cal, though, is going to have, I think, a relatively uncontested again and again right now. So, or rather, it's NK on the Winter Soldier. So that's really the thing that we need to see pop off with Remix and the Venom ult. You could easily see this turn into a pretty aggressive fight for Envy.
Particularly with Loki in the back, right? It's one of the things where Winter Soldier, you know, oftentimes Loki's enemy. What in the world from downtown? NK getting the pick on the Aramori. Setting up Envy here for this fight. Goddess of Death kind of forced out by Cal, nearly died and does die. Korova being a real threat, but here we go, Kraken Impact. What's
easy finishes,
Will it
though.
be reset? No, and I think part of that is with Loki dying so early in the fight, what are you gonna reset on right away?
Yeah, Cal went in immediately for the Goddess of Death, but just Envy looked off sync there, right? Like, that's a fight they should assuredly win. They got the opener onto Loki, one of the better defensive options in the comp. And you'd think with Loki down, it's time to go, but it's very slow reaction from Envy. I think pretty weak performance from them, getting an opening pick and not being ready to convert. I think maybe they were trying to be really greedy and win without ultimates in that spot, but Sentinels is just not a team you can be greedy against. Like, they are a squad that will fight back down one, that will try to recommit and win despite maybe being at a numbers disadvantage. So that's a fight that Envy, I think, should have won, that they needed to win, and falling flat there is going to cost them here, going down a round on the first map of domination.
I think you make a good point when it comes to the ult economy there, where, yeah, you get a free pick and there's that devil on your shoulder that's saying, you can do it for free. But it takes so long to actually finish out fights in Rivals that I think you just have to settle for the light option, right? You know, maybe you use like one ultimate instead of 2 or 3, and you're okay with that. I think full greed, barring exceptional circumstances, may not be the play, but, you know, take a look as both teams come out here. You do have some change-ups coming in for Envy.
I actually think that this duelist triple strategist setup makes a lot of sense with Strange and Magneto ban, Groot as well. Like, you're missing all of your traditional frontline vanguards, and so as good as Hela and Winter Soldier are, they just don't have enough room to work with how dynamic the game is in this Vanguard matchup. Sentinels playing very slow, not going to point first. They're going to let Envy take position and look to go for a counter dive. But Super Gomez has a relatively uncontested legendary here.
Yeah, immediately drops the Galactic Legend into the back,
nice
just
pick.
pummels NK. Knew his target, went for it. However, the Resurrection is immediately there with the Adam Warlock team up, so the advantage may be short-lived. Hogs getting pummeled a bit. Aramori under a little bit of pressure. Got a Mischief, though, about to be out here. And the space down, Sentinels still in control of the fight, Jake.
They forced the ult from Amazing, but the flip already came in, so every second of this fight is starting taking up the advantage here for Sentinels. See if they're going to be able to stabilize. Korova, a great cam to be on. You know this guy always performs in the Adam Warlock, and there's a full burst onto Paintbrush, and that's just a fight over. Korova on the signature pickoff. I think this is something that many teams have respect banned against Sentinels, and that's why. He just puts that work in. It's you call this triple strategist, but Korova is basically a duelist.
I mean, Korova's giving me those old school Jonak vibes right now with what he's playing off on Warlock. It is actually ridiculous where you're getting that level of contribution from your strategist line. Really, really effective now. 40% for Sentinels. Well on their way to their map 1 victory here. Envy needs something good to happen their way as Remix is just getting pummeled before he's even able to get in.
Great position here from the Venom. Hogs waiting over the top, ready to dive that back line. Aggressive move in now. Venom still waiting, still looking for the strategist. NK, though, with that legendary, looking to pop off now.
NK needs to find something here, but Gomez on the other side. Galactic Legend, it's legends all around. The healing enough to prevent too much going in, but Gomez, Blaster Barrage into the back line with Hogs, enough to get 2 down here, Jake. And 70%, Envy gets maybe 1 fight to change the destiny here in map 1.
Yeah, the synchronicity from the squad of Sentinels is just over the line right now. Their dives coming in so much more coordinated, so much more aggressive. That sync with that bullet dance from Super Gomez, so powerful with both Vanguards diving at the same moment, hitting all those AoE skills. It just cleans up all the Loki clones and turns into an easy team fight.
90% map 1 in the balance. Envy making their final push out towards the point. God of Mischief on deck.
Body block.
Gonna be popped immediately. Here we go. Galactic Legend in. NK looking for anything. Was able to get Korova down early. A huge pickoff here, Jake. Korova will not be the menace that he's been in previous fights. Gomez going down right after Korova, though. Able to use the self-resurrection. Yeah, right back on in. Karmic Rebirth. And now, NK trying to make something happen. Sentinel still in the fight. Envy trying to stay in it themselves. Cal in it. Remix in the front line, but Galactic Legend popped. Where's that going to go right now? As you look here, Gomez into the back line. Half down. Envy down another. Remix getting torn up. The tank line getting hit from Gomez on the back. And you see how Remix just barely able to back off. It's super low HP. Space Remix cannot stay up for long here, Jake.
Gomez just having the last answer there, the final nail in the coffin. Envy just staggering back to the point, forced into a desperation Spider-Man swap, but it's going to be too little too late. Kaluj dominating here on the objective, and that's map 1 going to Sentinels. And gotta be honest here, Envy look flat-footed here in the series so far. This is looking like a very dominant victory for Sentinels if the series keeps progressing as this map did.
Yeah, and I think for me, as interesting it was where, we had a lot of airtime and look at Super Gomez setting up on the Star-Lord and, of course, grabbing MVP at the end. But to me, I'm looking at other contributors that are making things easy for players like Super Gomez, and you have to look at Korova. What Korova was able to do on the Adam Warlock was setting up a lot of those kills, regardless of whether or not it was Korova himself that got the kill credit, right? It was just a fantastic showing of why Adam Warlock can be so devastating. And, for Envy, you think about, Jake, so many of these fights started where they were down a person in the neutral before they even used their first ultimate. It's very hard to win in Rivals when that's your setup.
Yeah, and Hogs and Kaluj, just no deaths on the Vanguards, right? Like, that's how you get that, 100-0 domination, that you're able to just have those tank line, permanently be up, permanently be fighting aggressively. Pretty significant damage gap as well, coming from that increased uptime. Sentinels sweep the floor there with Team Envy. Envy's going to have the map pick, so ball's back in their court, but, man, that's a rough one. You got to think maybe that ban on Dr. Strange, taking out some of those core frontlining Vanguards was a mistake with Envy wanting to play the more long-range duelist style.
So, of course, we're bringing you back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
We're bringing you back in. What do you like?
I liked kind of everything there from Sentinels. I mean, I still want to see them play some 2-2. Maybe that's something they're going to be saving for these future maps as Envy gets into their map picks, or maybe even they're just keeping it in the back pocket, assuming that they can make it to that rematch versus 100 Thieves. Either way, they just came out and they just look so damn strong. I was fully expecting to kind of just see the whole Asgardian team up coming through there from the squad, but Kalush with a flash on Thor doesn't stick with it, plays the thing, but the comp overall just looks gorgeous from Sentinels. And I mean, Jake talked about it, 0 deaths really on that front line, and it was only, what, 7 deaths total for Sentinels throughout the map, which is not something that you want to be seeing if you're an Envy fan, if you're here cheering for iRemix to be able to find the win. They need to be able to get these picks. Gomez completely just off the leash here, completely uncontained from Envy. They need to find a way to shut this guy down.
Yeah, and again, when I looked at this, you can point to a lot of factors, but for me, it was just the neutral game. The fact is that you cannot...
Bodybot from Kalush, so sick, actually.
Yeah. Kalush is great, by the way, when it comes to that level of situational awareness, whether it be on heroes like that or on the Strange. I mean, Kalush is great about, like, by the way, I'm in the doorway, I'm going to step out at the right time and make things difficult for you. But it goes back to this idea of neutral game where Sentinels was winning fights without really having to spend resources, Jake. And when they did spend resources, it was incredibly effective.
Yeah, and even with pickoffs that Envy is not able to close out those fights, the aggression doesn't look nearly as well timed, where Sentinels, when they hit, they're really hitting hard, they're hitting as a whole team, and they really have that sync across all these players. And that's something that Envy, I think, while they might have strong individuals, in a comp like that with the triple strategist, like, the Thing and Venom, it's not about individual pop-offs. There's no one in that comp. Maybe Adam Warlock could get solo kills, but pretty much no one else is really going to be doing that. It's all about the sync and hitting hard and fast on the enemy back line, and time again, it was Sentinels able to take that initiative on map 1.
Yeah, I think this just goes to show you that right now, like, Sentinels, mechanically very strong, shrugging off the loss from last week, but also the communication between the team and the synergy that they're bringing to the table is something that, Envy is going to have to rise to the occasion of if they want to be able to shut this down, because every single time, a little bit of chip damage coming through, boom, it's called out, Gomez is swooping in, he's able to go ahead and confirm that kill. So when you have teams that are in sync like that, that's when they are the toughest to beat. Looking like maybe we just run it back kind of like off the first series of the day. Midtown is the second map here.
I think there is a road to victory, though, for Envy. I think what they need, though, is to ensure that they have a more stable tanking front line. I think it was pretty clear that, like, on this dive Vanguard frontline, I think they're just outclassed. I think Sentinels are way too comfortable. When you take that many Vanguards out, and like this triple strategist looks way better. I think with no shield Vanguards in the lineup, it's so much harder to make things like Hela and Winter Soldier work. Like, Envy rolled out on those characters, but they were just stuffed at the chokes. They had no opportunity to actually walk up and take space. And I think maybe on a more of a attack defense map, I think if they can have a bit of a shield tank, let players like Cal and NK shine, I think that's going to be a much more hopeful situation in terms of the matchup for Team Envy.
I gotta say here, as we're waiting to get in the lobby, NA lobby stuff just continues to be very entertaining. A little bit of password related issues, but we figured it out. And looking into Midtown now, I think for me, Seth, as I'm looking at this, what I'm curious to see here for Envy is, I feel like once you get off domination, you start really getting into the idea of what is a team prepped on. You get more map-specific strategies on longer maps in Convoy and Convergence. And we'll get to see if they have anything in the tank that at the very least can surprise Sentinels from what we saw in the last map. I think for me too, I think anytime you have a team that on paper you might consider a little bit weaker at the moment, it's on you to kind of not do mirror matches. I think you want to avoid mirror matches and go in the set strategies where you have a little bit more experience than the other team, your home domain, as it were.
Sure. Obviously the big concern there was just be like, what happens if that gets shut down? Do you have a repeat of VP versus Luminosity, where they ended up having to play Jeff? Like, you don't want to get beat down too much on your A and B strategies, as Jake had put it. But I think that changing things up here is, that could be a strong suit for him. I'm curious if there's a bit of a change here to maybe try to tackle the team up there, because the Warlock, you know that if it's available, Sentinels are going to want to play it. You know, if the Loki's there, they're going to want to play it. Do you go for either of those picks? Because Sentinels, if they get the opportunity, they're probably just going to continue protecting the Loki, I would assume, for Armory. But do you try to attack something like the Star-Lord and get that out of the equation so that you force Gomez off of something that is widely kind of, you know, been, at least over the last 2 weeks, is most played? Like, you know, where do you see an opening? Where do you see potential weakness here as Envy? That's my curiosity. But Sentinels getting rid of the Groot off the rip, and they're still going to continue to ban the Strange here. And it can be very strong on Midtown. Obviously, there's, you know, portal blocks and stuff like that. Kalush's going to be well versed with it, but they are going to be protecting the Magneto for themselves.
Yeah, so they're still going to have that key shield frontliner, be able to use those bubbles to maybe save, you know, greedier backline choices such as the Hela and the Winter Soldier. So I like this line from Team Envy that they secure one of those frontliners. It changes the game a little bit. Sentinels are going to protect the Luna Snow, which is potentially scary because now you got to think for Envy, like, how confident are you in the poke matchup against something like the Namor, which tends to change the dynamics, a little bit more combo oriented rather than being individualistic, looking for picks, which, to be honest, that individualism is Envy's hope for me in this matchup, is that, like, you can just put Cal, put NK on the flank and have them win a 1v1. That's the opener that is going to give you the edge here. I think if we make this a game of, like, Luna Snow combo with Namor, I think that's a scary one for Envy.
What do they hate more? Do they hate the Loki more, or do they hate the idea of the Namor more? I think we're going to see one of the two banned from Envy. For me, it's a question of which. Oh, it's a Star-Lord, actually.
Star-Lord.
So, yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense because you still have Adam Warlock in play. Envy decides not to take it out, which, by the way, I think would have been a stronger ban choice if they wanted to do it earlier in the draft. But instead, they go, nope, not going to go for it. They're going to let Kurova come out on the Warlock, potentially. But I will say, in terms of ban priorities, Sentinels did shift, right? Last map, they decided we don't want to deal with the Magneto. As they go in the Midtown, they say we don't want to deal with Groot. And I think the reason why you get that difference between the game modes is that Groot as a character, I think, is way more oppressive, particularly on the defensive end, on certain convergence and convoy maps, than he is on domination, just by nature of, you know, the way you have to go through some very tight chokes. So Sentinels, Jake, they go into this, they go, actually, we don't want to deal with that whatsoever.
Yeah, you know, and I think honestly, with whether it's the Star-Lord or the Adam Warlock ban, I kind of think these bans are almost the same ban. Like, they're more or less like you ban one or the other, and you're probably, like, even Kurova on Adam Warlock, probably not going to be played without the Star-Lord team up. Like, it really is one of the stronger team ups, I think, in the game in terms of incentivizing you strongly to pick that strategist. Without getting those reses, you know, like our Mantis Star-Lord, not nearly as strong right now in terms of just the strategist, I think. So either way, I think gets the job done. Sentinels see the rollout. Aramori on, surely this is just for the team up for, like, the moments out of spawn, let Kalush have that extra damage. Yeah, so she's gonna swap, but I kind of like that tech strat for, like, just letting Kalush walk out with the team up, pop it on cooldown, and, like, it's a pretty innovative way to approach that opening of the map.
You know, it also is an innovative remix with the super early catch on the Kurova. Right place, right time as Cal just pops off on the side. Some hella action, completely stymieing the Sentinels off the rip.
Yeah, Cal's really aggressive right now, looking to get more, and I think that's a player that I highlighted for Envy. I think it's a player who needs to pop off, especially on Midtown, where there's going to be a lot of emphasis on the Hela duel. Super Gomez, I think, hasn't been quite as storied on the Hela. I think of him more as a flanker player. So whether or not he's able to take this matchup to Cal is going to be a big question for Sentinels.
Okay, looking at Remix, was able to get the early grab here. Now a little bit of pressure onto Hela, waiting for the dive. See the Magneto shield come out, but Remix getting good solid damage in his space on the other end. Finds Gomez. The front line for Envy looking far better on Midtown so far. Cali will pick up one off on the side, and the neutral game looking completely redefined right now, Jake, for Envy from map 1 to map 2.
Yeah, big value being found by the defensive Hela here. Sentinels have moved the card up little by little, but so many picks have gone against them, and they're starting to think, yeah, maybe they need that reset. And Super Gomez, see how he tries to get into this, but Cal is just working them over right now. It feels like every time they walk up, it's Cal finding an opening on the rotate, and Sentinels aren't even really able to play the game in the face of that kind of pressure.
They've been struggling. They haven't really had even a full reset here, but they do have ultimates coming online. Sentinels ult cycling has been amongst the best here so far, so we'll see what Kalush does here early on. I do think the Strange bans, by the way, now that I think about it, has been more targeted at Kalush. Kalush is really good at Strange, and I think while he's not bad at the rest of his Vanguards, clearly Strange has been his best hero. So, you know, Kalush having to work maybe a little bit out of his comfort zone where he'd rather be Strange, but Remix gets caught. couldn't get away, sets up the 6v5 now. Sentinels have resources to throw in, and for Envy, do you throw ult into a disadvantaged fight or do you wait?
They are going to pop the Luna Snow ultimate, so they're going to double down. Kurova is stunned and bursted. Cal with another critical pickoff, just carrying the squad right now for Envy. The hero that the team needs is going to pop that Goddess of Death. Meteor M from space as well, dumped in over the top, but Sentinels, strategy assaults are looking to do enough. Super Gomez does win that duel, and Cal in real trouble. Doesn't have much to stay alive. Over the top now, Kaluj with the Meteor M. And it seems to be a potential cart rolling forward here for Sentinels. They need to not lose any players, though. They need to be in full strength to be able to full cap this map.
Remix picked up Gomez on the backline, but that's kind of a stagger for not a lot of benefit there. Wasn't able to get a little bit of stall onto the convoy. And now you look where Envy is. This should potentially just roll in. It's gonna be close if we get a touch or not. Like really,
if Envy
really
gets
close.
a fight, it's good though, because Super Gomez is pretty slow off the respawn. So I think this actually could be value for Remix. However, if they're gonna get the touch is the question. And yeah, just a little bit too far away off the spawn there. So Sentinel's gonna be happy with that, finding the advantage once again. Cal, we gotta get on this Cal cam. This guy is just absolutely putting that Wizard down in this game. I want to see what he's doing on this defense. Remix for still holding the front line. And diving in now, pushing past the choke. This is a risky move, very close to the attacker spawn. Big dump of resources.
They're pushing because Luna is down, though. Off the Cal pick, Envy, I think, correctly decides, hey, we can go a little bit more aggressive. They're still trying to win the overall HP war, but Sentinels is back up to 6. The horn blown, catches one. Kurova getting hit by NK, and Kurova has just been absolutely bullied by the Envy duelists so far in this game. And, you know, Envy doing a great job of maintaining this numerical advantage in a lot of these fights, Jake.
Yeah, taking the fight to the spawn is big, but it's a quick reset for Sentinel. So I think in the end, they're not too worried about losing a fight at this position on the cart. When they get a little bit deeper, I think it will become more costly. Now Envy only has the Remix ult, but once again, Cal looking for something on the flank. He's been the opener time and time again. Got to be very cautious. TP away from that Loki. Cal looking for more, constantly playing this third-person peek, looking for all those opportunities. Such a thorn in the side of Sentinels as they try to walk forward.
Also, even just taking down the Loki clones, reducing Loki's effectiveness a bit. NK, though, finds Gomez. The early pick. Amazing, though, drops the horn, and it's big. Gets 2. Kaluj, meanwhile, Meteor M. And the ultimate usage for Sentinels, absolutely sublime here on the second point.
Yeah, just an underrated aspect of the Namor Luna Snow team up, right? It's beyond just the raw team up values. When Luna Snow goes into that damage amping mode on dance floor, the Horn of Proteus from Namor ends up one-shotting pretty much everything except the Vanguard cast, which is such a big difference maker with how much healing is available in Marvel Rivals. To be able to get a solid one-shot is a complete game changer. Super Gomez is going to go over to the Winter Soldier here, so an interesting choice. Ceding the Hela duel to Cal, feeling like it's not going well enough for them. I mean, hard to blame them, but I would say this Hela unchecked is a scary prospect with how Cal's been playing.
Yeah, and you're going to see Cal go even more aggressive here. You have the Goddess of Death, so you know if things get bad, you can pop it, but you can't pop it when
trouble.
You're stuck in the bathroom here and just gets taken down. The rotation, really good for Sentinels. They get rid of the Cal threat. They give themselves a 6-on-5, and Kaluj now just gets to walk forward a bit. However, Remix somehow gets Gomez into the back, evens things out. Aramori. Fate of Both Worlds going to be popped here. Sentinels looking to stay even on the point. Cal, though, is going to be back here soon, Jake. Goddess of Death on deck. Sleepy, God of Mischief, buying time for Envy to get back to full strength. Hogs, though, got Pank. Decent pick.
Horn of Proteus blocked, though, by that Loki rune. Now Venom under a lot of pressure. Remus Forks back. This is a real tempo swing for Sentinels. They've got a lot of ultimates to continue to leverage pushing forward. Not least Super Gomez here with the Kraken Impact looking to get active here. Maybe won't even need it, though, as the pickup's starting to really come through now for Team Sentinels. It is going to be Pop Kraken coming in, but was blocked by a very well-timed shield from Space.
Yeah, I mean, Space Gang 1, though, off the Meteor M, pretty damn good. As we see Hogs now going in for Sentinels, trying to keep them in it. This fight turned to a standstill. Kaluj, though, got pinked into the back. Sentinels now working with a real big advantage. Only 3 left for Envy. Surely they can't stall for long. They cannot. Second point done. And now we head into third as Hogs, a little bit of cleanup on the Venom.
Yeah, just cleanups and Sentinels. And we talked about the risk of Marvel Rivals of, trying to win those fights off picks and not dumping ultimates. But when you can get away with it, you do look like a really smart team. So Sentinels coming into last with still a major ultimate advantage. That being said, Envy's quite close to a few of their ultimates. Would love to have those as the difference maker, especially looking for that Horn of Proteus from NK. Could look to get that online with Paintbrush's ult. Look for that combo one-shot I talked about earlier.
I mean, we're going to see whales flying on both sides here, right? Amazing looking NK looking. Cal, though. See if Cal can do it in the neutral once more before anything is even popped. In the storyline for me for Envy in this game so far. But right now, both teams taking their time neutral, building up on the ultimates. Nearly a full bank for Sentinels here. We'll see where this goes, but now Envy decide to move in. Pain with the Luna ult. Horn popped. Nothing happening there. You see the counter, Fate of both worlds in. Both whales have been dropped. Both teams still full, but Paint getting caught at the end from Kaluj with the Meteor M. Key advantage here from Sentinels. Cal into the air. Goddess is definitely going to be popped, and Cal likely going to be brought immediately back down. Rough position being here is Hella, looking for anything right now. Flies off to the side, still alive. Breaks some of the pressure. In over the top. Hogs gets one. Can you get the pick off? Cal can. Gets the hit onto Kurova, and gets another versus. Gets Sleepy back into the fight here, Jake. Envy, though, still getting pushed back a bit.
It's a big pickoff, gets an opportunity here for Envy, but they've lost so many players, and Namor being that unstoppable force here, continuing that payload rolling. It is overtime though for Sentinel, so no more mistakes, and it's a full deathmatch now. No teams have any ultimates online. Cal couldn't get that second pickoff onto Aramori's Loki, just a little too quick with that immortality rune. Now both teams looking for an opener, keeping the pressure on heavy, but it's risky. You can see how quick even the Vanguards drop.
You need the touch right now. They're almost at the very end. Finally, Envy in onto the point. Remix first in. Gets a barrier from Magneto. Gomez, though, the huge pickoff onto Cal at the start. Now the Cal threat is gone. Envy gonna have to win 5 versus 6. It's all about the horn right now. NK, where's this whale gonna land? Looking, gets one, keeps him alive. Sleepy, though, down and turned. Right, amazing. A horn of his own, ready to go. Another whale about to fly. Sentinels, where is it gonna go? Envy, they still need to stand the point all the while here, Jake. Right, amazing, holding on to horn. Hogs in the back, devours Cal. It should be Sentinels bringing it home.
Nice burst timing from Hogs, waiting for that secondary skill to pop before committing with the ultimate, getting that instant burst onto Hella. The Sentinels get it over the line there, but that was hard fought. That was much closer, I'd say, than map 1. And I give a lot of credit to Cal in this map, right? So many times, Envy is finding the early pickoffs on the defense from Cal, just finding openers, especially think about first point. It was looking like a little scary there for the Sentinels, and they end up going away from the Hella duel. Pretty interesting with how strong we've seen Hella be historically.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes it's just the move you need to do, right? Like, there's no shame in being like, hey, I'm getting diffed right now. Time to swap. It's not the greatest feeling in the world, but
I mean, there's a little bit of shame. There's a little bit of shame.
There's a little bit of shame, but it's like, okay, let's clarify. It's still the better move to swap if you are getting diffed. But look, what I found interesting to me too is that we didn't see it a lot in the first map. I also thought the Envy front line between Remix and Space had some really good moments, especially on first point defense, right? Like, it wasn't just Cal applying the pressure. Remix and Space were actually funneling Sentinels into some unfavorable spots, giving Cal the room to find those pickoffs. So, you know, I do wonder how much of here is Envy leveling up as time goes on. And, you know, it's just all the hallmarks of they're a good team, but they're not polished yet.
Yeah, I think Paintbrush went down way too much for my liking there, especially on defense. I feel like Kaluj in particular was able to constantly find that pickoff, which, you know, we talked about this early in the round. When you lose your Luna Snow, it really takes the legs out from under the composition. For now, Paintbrush rolling on the Invisible Woman, looked to maybe to pop a barrier and keep the fight rolling. Both teams on a relative mirror, but Gomez sticking with the Winter Soldier, willing to let Cal have the dominance in terms of the Hella, but valuing the team play that Winter Soldier offers. And Remix is going to have to be very cautious with those movement disruption abilities available.
Well, I think that's the other key thing, too, is that when you go to the Winter Soldier, you're able to apply more pressure on the Remix, more pressure on the Space, and sort of change your terms of victory a little bit relative than if you're running the Hella, where you're way more focused on taking out enemy duelists and strategists on the whole. We're looking at Gomez right now on squid duty as Remix comes in. Getting the hook ready, looking for the finish. Instead, goes for Space, a little bit extra damage on the Magneto. Cal, though, strikes, Jake. Early pickoff on the Aramori, and the Envy offense is looking supercharged with the 2 Cal picks.
Cal with the headshots time and time again. It's what makes the difference. Super Gomez trades it back, though, extremely low on the flank. It's turning scrappy, but it seems to be going the way of Team Envy. A little bit more health in the tank. Space starting to work this cleanup. Cart going to be rolling forward for Envy, and that first point choke that was so difficult for Sentinels goes down very quickly to Team Envy.
Yeah, I mean, Sentinels will get one more contest here. I think they have enough time to touch and go from there. The problem is, ult-wise, it's not great. I mean, they're really going to be banking on Kaluj to open up with Meteor M and create an opening for Gomez to get some Kraken impact chains. It's what they're looking for here. We'll see how this one goes. Remix for now, on the wall. A little bit of pressure, looking for his counterport. Forces out the shield early from the enemy Venom. Feast online. Envy holding on to ult, so is Sentinels right now. Who's going to be the first to break? Remix forced back, but now good. Fate of both worlds, though, opened up here by Envy. Remix going in turn, says it's time to feast. Gomez responding, Kraken impact. Gets the reset number 1. Looking into the back line. Again, feasting on the Loki clones. Meanwhile, though, Space Meteor M. Super Gomez down first. The Goss of Death strikes, and Envy is going to get point A.
Yeah, even with the strategist ults online, Murray wasn't able to find the opportunity to get hers off, and that leaves Envy getting the cap. It was expensive. It cost them 6 ultimates, but they get it done, and so much time on the clock now, and it's got to look at Sentinels not able to find the windows to get some key ultimates off in that last engagement. Definitely a mistake from them here on Midtown as Envy look to potentially cap with more time.
Yeah, and when you look at the situation here, I mean, Sentinels, this first fight should be pretty economical for them. I mean, they can open God of Mischief into the Luna clone. They can open even with the
Frozen
Horn, but a cow nearly getting punished. That would have been economical and then some, but also on that same note, Hogs getting forced back. But God of Mischief could be used here early by Aramori into a little bit of clone dancing. As Sentinels try and push a little bit of advantage. The Horn ready, you see the damage boost ready to get time. The Horn comes down. And the counterpart, Luna, going down in turn, Paint out of it, and Sentinels, really nicely executed fight, Jake.
Yeah, I love these combos we're seeing from the Venom. That's definitely something great that the viewers can take to home, is where you pop that secondary skill on Venom, setting up for that nuke to come in, and then right when it pops is when you pop the ultimate, and it almost is a one-shot combo, right? If you time it perfectly, especially with the damage amp, it pretty much gets over the line there. So great setup for Sentinels. It's a fight they really needed to win. Now defending with a little bit better position. We'll see how they elect to take this fight from the high ground.
Envy, a better spot in ult-wise here to kick off this fight. NK going to be looking for the Horn opportunity right away. They might wait for Paintbrush to get Fate of both worlds up. You know, it's an option there, especially if you want to go for more of a one-shot opportunity. But for now, Sentinels, Hogs, a little bit of zoning. Now into the back, the opportunity gone, and Cal's flank is punished early, putting Envy in a really tough spot here, Jake, where I don't know if they want full disengage, but if they don't, it could turn away, but they get Amazing back to even.
Amazing had to use his shield bubble to get up to the high ground to make that play, so it's great awareness from Envy to turn for the focus fire. Magneto super deep into the backline, is going to get bailed out, though, by some strategist ults from Envy. So far, they're not able to find the lockdowns, but there it is from Kaluj. Once again, he's the Magneto making the huge difference. We talked about his Doctor Strange being so strong, but this is one of those players who I think just across the board is a massive threat right now for Sentinels, one that you cannot ignore, especially when the ultimates are online.
I think when it comes to Kaluj, whether he's on the Magneto or the Strange Jake, he might be one of the highest efficiency at getting value out of his ultimates out of any player we've seen across all regions.
Yeah, and that Meteor M, I think, is such a bellwether for your Vanguards, right? Like, if they're just using it to defend people and, you know, to keep them alive, it's like the minimum value. But the Meteor M, when it's able to one-shot a backliner, just completely turns the game on its head. And Kaluj has been the one fighting that so many times. Remix getting nuked super hard there by Amazing, has to pop the shield and back off.
NK got Amazing. Amazing wasn't able to get away. Sets up the man advantage now for Envy. Envy gonna go in even deeper. Fate of both worlds used. Space with the Meteor M. 2 up as they look to just burn ultimates, secure the advantage. Hogs, though, gonna feast in turn. Sentinels trying to burn something the turn. They use the cloned Luna ult from Aramori. Kaluj, though. Meteor M. Can he do it again? Kaluj is waiting, looking. Can't get it this time. NK, though, down. Goss of Death in from Cal. Cal looking for anything. Positioning for low for Sentinels, pretty decent for avoiding the worst of it. Amazing back into the fight, ready to blow the Horn. Looking and waiting. The Horn is used, drops it, and gets it onto Paint in the back.
So massive. That was a better strategy assault for Envy. They had the long fight, but the burst combo comes through, found by Amazing, and it turns everything on its head. Envy down, lacking the damage to follow through on that Loki copied Luna Snow ultimate, and once again, stymied here in second point. And Sentinels, this isn't even really their last fight on second. This is a bit of a throwaway fight, but they've been winning it time and time again. When with all this structure destroyed, it looks pretty scary here for Envy to walk up. And there's Cal dropping off the rip.
That is huge, because now you look at the timing here, Jake. Envy's going to have to touch while down one to an extent. I mean, Cal's now running back. It really hurts their positioning for what could be the final fight. NK. A little bit quiet for a little bit now. The Horn is ready to be blown. Not going to have the Luna back up here, either from the Loki clone or the Luna herself. So NK will see how it works out. Hogs, though, into the back here's Venom. Gets hit with the freeze. We'll see if the fall through is there. Forces out the regen domain early. Hogs forcing resources to be burned into the backline. Envy, meanwhile, has to go forward. We are in overtime, and the Venom is just such a huge threat into the back right now. Hogs able to get away, still healthy. Gomez, cracking impact used. Meanwhile, space off the Meteor M gets one. Envy still in a decent spot here in this fight. Fate of both worlds get used here by Pain. All resources on deck for Envy as they look to stay alive. Now on to NK. The Horn ready to be blown. Takes down Super Gomez. The Horn put in over the top. Waiting and waiting is NK. Sees the Fate of both worlds used on the other side. Still waiting here. Sentinels, though, down one, Jake, as Envy pushes the advantage.
Yeah, and these picks, they're maybe going down very late here. Dying on the cart, though, is a great choice there by Armory. Needs to just stall, and Sentinels looking to regroup, looking to get one last fight, but it's going to be a tight touch. I mean, that spawn for Armory for Kurova so long, and with Kaluj going down, I think that will be Team Envy capping second point in overtime.
Envy staying alive when pushed to the brink, but Jake getting the final point here on Midtown, easier said than done. Sentinels, by all metrics, ahead in the tempo on the map. And I think you have to look at Envy here and go, they need economy, they need Cal to get some neutral picks more than anything else.
Super Gomez is so low, and just the better spam from Envy forces the strategist ult. See if the combo comes through, and there it is from Amazing. The sync has been beautiful from this Sentinel squad. They never miss that combo, something they're always timing, always perfect with it, and just as, perfect, beautiful from Kurova that, like, he's only on that damage for just a fraction of a second, enough to ensure the one-shots, and then right back to heal, so there's just no window for Envy to counterplay. Now the cart being held pretty much right in front of Envy's spawn, and so Sentinel's gonna start to run the clock down, although hold on. What are you looking at, bro?
Cop bro, third person peeking is what just happened there. Cal does not miss those when the target is not moving at all, which would be expected at this level of play. So Cal, early pickoff onto a distracted Super Gomez, sets up just this repeated momentum now. Gets the other pick on the right, Amazing. Going up, tells Hogs what's up, forces out the Venom Shield. I don't think Hogs is getting away from this one so much as he wants. Another pickoff from Cal, team assisted, and off the pick from Gomez, Jake. Tragedy.
Sleepy, though, does pop the copy, though, which, as much as that's a great fight for Team Envy, they are only going to have one strategist ult. They have everything else, so they should be in a decent spot, but NK without the whale, Sleepy without the copy Loki ultimate, this actually looks like a potentially difficult fight. Sentinels are going to have double support ultimate, going to be very hard to evict from the payload, and Envy going to have to hold on. We're going to need to see a very defensive ultimate, I think, here from Paintbrush. Needs to get perfect value.
See Cal right now just playing terrain editor in the top line, looking for peaks. Hogs, though, under bad pressure, still has a shield in reserve, not going down yet. Kaluj looking to end it here and now. Meteor M, not going to get it this time. Kurova using Fate of both worlds. Sentinels trying to put away. But space, huge Jake with two. Cal got to death in over the top, grabs two for himself. It is death from above. Meteors and crows raining on in for Envy as they stay alive here in overtime, real close to the end.
It's one more test, though, and it's going to be Armory with the copy here. So essentially a second dance floor going to be available here. Envy, they don't have any ultimates to work with. This last fight is going to be a real challenge. They want to get some spawn kills, want to deny Sentinels the touch, but it's going to be difficult here. At the same time, Sentinels need to get out of spawn and convert this ultimate into real kills to make this defense happen.
Armory, Fate of both worlds, setting things up here for Sentinels. Off they go. Envy, meanwhile, NK has the Horn ready. Will be an unassisted Horn. Wants to wait out the Fate of both worlds before dropping it. Throws it in the backline, gets banked. Is Amazing. The Horn comes, strikes first from the Sentinels. 3 pickoffs, only 3 left for Envy. Surely this is the map coming in for Sentinels. We'll see if Envy can turn around, but 3 versus the world would be ridiculous. Right now, it's just payload control Jake. Both Cal able to get one. Cal, there's a chance. Oh, but not anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been hard to stay in the car. I think that is pretty much a C9. I think that was almost winnable there for Envy, but with Hogs coming up on the Venom ultimate, I think it would have gone against them there in the end with the, long distance from spawn that the attackers are facing. But close map, but in the end, not enough. Sentinels going to be up 2-0 in the series. And wow, this is serious signs of life for Envy, showing that they can be competitive, especially when their duelists are allowed to really shine. I think Cal had a fantastic map there. So did NK. Look at those damage numbers. I mean, monster damage numbers from the duelists. But the team play, the awareness from Sentinels, that's historically been their strength, and it shines through for the victory today.
Yeah, I think for Sentinels, though, you look at this version of Envy, and you're a little bit scared. You're looking at this going, I didn't like how this felt. And Seth, let me ask you, because you may be the greatest strategist of all. Don't let anyone else tell you otherwise of the 3 here. If you're Sentinels, do you take out the Hela into the next map?
It's definitely a consideration. I think that was a little bit closer than Sentinels probably would have liked it to have been. But yeah, I think that's honestly something that they might as well look to maybe just take out of the equation. My question is, how do they adapt against Envy? And because I don't think that Envy widely needed to change too much in the draft from what they had kind of been bringing to the table in that map. I think that they could kind of run the same thing. They played them close. I think a couple different just more clutch moments from them, and we would be seeing, you know, extra innings right there on Midtown with potentially Envy being able to close out a victory. But I feel like I'm having deja vu from a little bit of last week from the series earlier, because 2-0 lead here for Sentinels. I mean, they might just be looking to give us one of the fastest weeks that we've had so far here at Fight Night, because right now, I mean, Sentinels, they're in the driver's seat. They do barely kind of close out the victory here, but they're looking at potentially pulling off yet another 3-0.
And, you know, in a way, ZP, this is kind of what I expected to see from this match. Like, I thought Sentinels would be the stronger team, but I've been particularly impressed by the individuals on Envy. While the team play isn't coming together nearly as well, you think about something like these Horn of Proteus combos, they're just landing so much more often for Sentinels. Feels like Sentinels hitting it every time, very well practiced with that look. For Envy, the individuals, I would say, are outplaying. Like, Cal is getting a ton done on this duelist, you know, on the Hela. He's creating tons of opportunities, but they're not able to close out these big team fights. They're, you know, struggling at some key parts of the maps. And so Sentinels are winning based on experience right now, based on team play. But if this were just a raw deathmatch game, I think Envy maybe has the edge.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I mean, you think about the history also with the teams, how long they've been playing. The fact is, Sentinels, while some players have changed here and there relative to their early days, the core of Sentinels has been very static for a long time. Envy is a newer team, and they have all the hallmarks of a newer team that has individually skilled players, but not as much experience in both the game or necessarily as teammates with each other. And you see some of the flaws come into play, especially as you mentioned with ult combos, ult economy in general. But the mechanical play times, whether it be from the front line with Space and Remix, whether it be from NK or, you know, especially Cal, just showing off brand new Helitech, where, you know, I took a brief look at chat in the middle of
I've never been to that part of the map before. I'm about to go there instantly in my next rank game.
Yeah. It's actually the brand new tech, which, by the way, Jake is not kidding. He mains Hela. He will be stealing that tech.
I'll be there. If I'm here in my next rank game, watch me, bro. I'll be up there with Cal. This is hilarious. Super Gomez holding down the flank. He's like, turns around at the last second. Oh, what are you doing here? Oh, crap. I want to also highlight the strategists from Sentinels, right? Like this Luna Snow dance floor synergy of being able to switch to the damage right at the moment a key burst spell comes in, whether that's Meteor M, whether that's the Venom ult, whether that's, you know, of course, the Namor Whale being the most critical of those combos. Those have been hit like pretty much 100% of the time, and that combo is not that easy to pull off. Like, you need to hit a very small timing window to turn the damage on, but obviously not for so long that your team actually dies during the Luna Snow ultimate. And that's something that Sentinels is like doing 100% of the time. I think honestly, to be an elite team in Marvel Rivals, you kind of need to be able to do that 100% of the time. It makes me think Envy has more potential as a team if they can increase the proficiency on combos like that. But Sentinels kind of outclassing on that strategist front right now.
Yeah, I think it's leveling up in that regard, but like you were saying before, the team play, and that's kind of what gives, you know, ends up getting Sentinels the victory here. I'm in full agreement. I think that the individual performances on the side of Envy have been looking quite strong, which is why I don't think that they necessarily need to change too much as far as how they've been approaching the ban protect phase. It's just about really tightening up the team play and making sure that, you know, they are having cohesion rather than having to rely on these hero moments. From, you know, the likes of Cal, etc. So I think that if they can do that, and we can continue to see them develop, you know, across, I guess, technically the next map of all of Djalia, like, they could still run this back. They still could make this a lot more competitive than the scoreline shows for the time being.
Yeah, hanging in the Djalia is going to be interesting, just in terms of, like, again, setups you can have on the map, where I think one thing that also seemed to prove to me, Jake, and, you know, this is also something that, you know, maybe to be expected for a team that's newer, is that Envy going to their own map choice was a big improvement from map 1, right? Where, you know, if you're a newer team, you're still getting your strategies down, you're still building team cohesion, you're eventually going to have this area where, you know, certain maps you get better at earlier than others, right? Which maybe for the overall series bodes a little bit ill for Envy, but I do think it means the chance of them maybe taking a map may not be as wild as some may have thought going in, because, you know, even looking back at the last map, their map choice, a lot closer than I think many thought going in.
And I do think this is one of the stronger domination maps for the Hela. So I would actually like to see Sentinels respect ban it out here. I mean, Cal, despite the series being 2-0 for Sentinels, Cal has been putting in work. And I think you got to start looking at that and say, okay, look, if we walked away from the Hela mirror in that map, right? We decided, okay, look, we're getting worked over. I'm going to go Winter Soldier. We're going to play a different game. That gets you over the line, but it doesn't feel good, right? When you allow Hela into the server, you're saying, I'm going to take the Hela mirror. Like, we rarely see, if it's unbanned, we pretty much see it always played. You know, Sentinels, I think the strategy was beautiful in map 1 and map 2. They dealt with it really well. But here on Hala Djalia, I kind of want, if they're not going to take the mirror, I want to see them ban it out here. I think you've got to put some respect on Envy as a squad that just push you to the limit on Sentinels.
Yeah, and
yes. Sorry, this is an awkward pause. Yeah, I fully agree.
I'm saying this like Seth. I would love.
You shouldn't be relying on me for interjections because right now I'm like a middle-aged billionaire. I'm about to crash out of the stream because I'm about to fall asleep.
So for reference, for those wondering, Seth is broadcasting from Korea right now. You know, we're hitting a whole wide range of various geographical locations between the talent and.
It's a global broadcast. Global broadcast.
Yes, it is full global. Indeed. So in Seth's case, you know, his body clock, you know, he's struggling a little bit. It's like, hello, what's going on right now? It's like, yes, it is time.
I ran out of coffee before this series began, and it's just been trending downward.
Don't worry, Achilleos. Sentinel's about to put you to bed. I mean, the way this series is going, I feel like if they ban the Hela, I'm honestly really worried for Envy because that has been the one hope. I think when it comes to the Namor, NK has been fantastic. Don't get me wrong, putting out huge damage, like individually, mechanically, super strong. But the fact that Sentinels is always landing these burst kill combos, the Horns of Proteus, always, I mean, like, was it 100% of the time? I don't think I saw. I mean, they must have missed something, right? But so many times, Sentinels hits that burst combo, it wins them the team fight. And they don't need to win on like the mechanical 1v1 level because they're winning so dominantly on the team play, on the coordination front.
Yeah, I think the fact that you have to question whether or not he actually whiffed any is just enough of a telltale sign that he's just been having the regular impact and has been putting up some significant figures with the horn. So, yeah, I think that the ban on Hela could end up being a little bit of a death knell for Envy unless they have something else up their sleeve specifically for Hall of Djalia. But I think we'll probably find out soon. I'm assuming that there's more lobby shenanigans or bathroom breaks that these players are taking. And that is what in fact it's overall been a very fast series. How tiny are your bladders? Stay put, stay in your chair.
Look, it wouldn't be North America without the bathroom breaks. But what I will say is that I think there's also an argument for Sentinels to not ban the Hela. And this might sound a little bit counterintuitive when you're in the middle of a tournament, but you're up 2-0, and you also know going against 100 Thieves that you think about 100 Thieves and how they play, they have one of the best Helas in the world. So if you're expecting that you might have to deal with the Hela regardless, depending on how you want to prioritize your pick ban, even if banning the Hela might assure you an easier map versus Envy right now, you can use Envy as your own personal training ground and be like, okay, this is a really deadly Hela. Give us that Djalia practice right now before we get into the match versus 100 Thieves. But here we go, Jake. First ban coming up. Does Sentinels remove Hela from the field of play?
No.
Not banning it yet, and I mean, they could ban it second, right? Because Envy hasn't been protecting it, so I don't know that, right. You know, and it's a little bit, you could use the protect on it, but is that really what you want from Envy? They've been protecting the thing a bunch, so interesting choice actually, because think about it, I don't think Envy they've used it on map 1, but didn't they protect it on map 2? Am I crazy? No, they protected Magneto, of course, map 2. Yeah. That was what they protected. So they really want the Magneto in. I think that allows a little bit more of this front-to-back style. Protecting Star-Lord is an interesting choice because I feel like you could still ban the Adam Warlock, and I have to imagine Envy will, which will really reduce some of the threat from Star-Lord. But it's hard to draw. So I mean, Star-Lord could be played without the combo here. I think Domination is probably the best game mode for Star-Lord with his mobility. And yeah, they are going to ban the Warlock team out. That's just too obviously dominant for Sentinels with that being such extreme comfort for them. But Hela's going to be available.
I think that this is one of the things that is like the crux of what Sentinels want to run. So getting rid of the Adam Warlock with the Star-Lord available, I think that this is kind of going to be one of your best little jabs that you can send out. So I like that adjustment at the end for Envious, but we'll have to just wait and see what happens here.
You know, the interesting thing about
map 1, don't let that combo through. It's just too good. It's too good for Sentinels.
The funny thing to me, though, is like how much you telegraph what you're going to do via your protect. I do wonder in the ban protect strategy if we'll eventually get to a point where protects at times you'll get almost bait protects in the sense of like trying to bait out the actual ban that people want. Because you think about the strategies people use right now, right? Is that if they protect something like a Warlock or they protect, Star-Lord, you kind of go to ban the other option. But like, what if you won the run, that combo, Jake, and instead you ban another obvious combo like, the Luna or the Namor, right? I feel like those mind games do actually exist within this game.
I'm just worried for them, though, because I think Hela is really strong on Hall of Djalia. I'm not really convinced you can counterplay it. Maybe Sentinels are going to show me something I don't know. Maybe Super Gomez is going to take a run back here on the mirror. But yeah, I mean, they protected the Star-Lord, so they're going to go for it. But I think Hela dominates this map, especially with Namor to help protect that backline. This is going to be a really difficult one. I think Cal is going to have a lot of opportunities here to make picks.
Also, we're saying domination repeatedly. This is convergence is what we're getting on here. This is... yeah, I was saying that it's like, I'm pretty sure it's convergence, but maybe I'm wrong. I was just holding that the entire time. But yeah, this makes a lot more sense, I feel like, for Envy and how they like to play, and a lot of ways that a Hela can just be a menace here, as seen as Gomez is already down.
Yeah, I thought I was wrong. I didn't want to say anything.
Cal's, I mean, this is like a really, I think, an odd map to be forcing the Star-Lord on too, but with this front-to-back playstyle, I mean, it's not domination, but this is still an insane Hela map. It's a lot of very long, very wide sightlines. You can see Amazing just peeking little by little, but so hard to actually find a kill like that. And walking through the choke with no Doctor Strange TP, super scary prospect on this map.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting because this is you could put this up for like hardest first point in the game to attack, and you have no Strange on top of it, no freebie attack, as it were, that a lot of teams need to actually complete the point. So Envy right now doing a masterful job of applying pressure to Sentinels, but now Sentinels, they have the double strategist ult ready to go. Remix looking to force some of that out. So far though, Kurova and Aramori holding firm. Sleepy gonna be first one to dance, cloning the Luna ult. Ready to go, and Cal got the pick on the Kalush here, Jake.
Cal has just been running rampant. He's gotten pick after pick here. Such a critical player, still with many ultimates to deploy. Sleepy does go down before Paintbrush pops that dance.
Cal got another.
Trading onto Kurova, keeps this interesting, gets the res now. Okay, Hela is just turbo gapping right now. Cal running this server, and I mean, not even a tick found here for Sentinels. Bad ultimate trade for. I mean, I guess it's still, I guess it's a 2-for-1 ultimate trade. You do get the strategist ults out, but it's painful, man. The clock is running low, and Cal's just doing whatever he wants in this game, and I don't really see how you stop him, given the map, given the distance he can play from.
Cal has just been ridiculous. You have Envy, which has been playing relatively well the last map and a half now, and then you have Cal, where Cal is looking like the best Hell in the world. What we're seeing right now, just an absolutely absurd performance in from Cal here so far. Something that Sentinels has yet to find real answer for. Gomez, Galactic Legend, up early, looking to apply a little bit of pressure. Instead, forced back, looking to remix now, turning around, looking and down. NK having none of that, Jake. The immediate disruption into the horn. No pickoffs from the horn because we got a little bit of dancing in from Aramori. Meteor M though, in over the top, looking for the dunk. Space though, no kills. But here comes Cal, Goddess of Death, as the ultimates come down. And it's the finisher, Jake, setting up the 2 kills, even if it's not Cal getting credit.
And we're looking at a full hold here. It's just going to be the Amazing ultimate for the next push. And I just struggle to wonder whether that'll be enough. Gomez is going to go over to the Hela mirror, but too little too late for me. I mean, maybe I think this probably is the right decision because honestly, you don't have much hope here. You need a hero play. But to go this far in the map without the Hela, it's looked like an obvious strategic mistake here for Sentinels. And to be honest, you can't be showing weakness when you got to go up against 100 Thieves in the money match here. Even if you win out this series, I feel like you're going to need to be banning the Hela against a team like 100 Thieves. Maybe, Sentinel's just thinking, you know what, we're going to win this series no matter what. So we're going to ban the Hela against 100 Thieves. So we'll pretend like we don't want to ban it. But it's looking scary here. And honestly, Envy is getting blood.
If that's a pretend, it's not working out right now because there's just been enormous pressure from Cal anytime Sentinels even remotely peak. We are looking at Amazing, who has the horn on deck. Remix. Just into the backline, Remix in real danger, has to back out, 97 HP, gets the shield off just in the nick of time. But here we go. Fate of both worlds. And the horn from Amazing,
always
huge here, gets both supports and Sentinels. This is exactly what they need here, Jake, to get the first point, and get the convoy moving.
Yeah, they get it over the line. They get the ball rolling, and that's critical because Sleepy died with the copy there. Could have had a second dance floor, could have been, that key factor in keeping the team fight going long enough. But it's been the story for Sentinels, right? When they're struggling to get it over the line with this incredibly powerful combo, they've been so consistent at landing it. Now Super Gomez free to take this Hela duel. I think this is so important on this map. Like, if you're gonna let the Hela through, you need the confidence to take the mirror. I think it's just crazy to not. Kaluj taking a super aggressive angle though on the off angle and trying to route Envy out of a position that historically we've seen to be really strong for the defense. I love this move from Kaluj.
Kaluj also always does this when he has ult up, whether it be on Magneto or Doctor Strange. Kaluj uses ultimate being up as a excuse to get up in people's faces because you have a way out of a bad situation. But now, Fate of Both Worlds up. Answered by Meteor M. Kaluj scanning, looking, gets Sleepy down. Cal on the same note gets Amazing, and Cal again is able to run Sleepy right up with the pickoff, gets Hogs on top of it. This Hela is a menace.
Oh, the focus fire on that Hela ultimate was just instant. He got one shot off. That's beautiful there by the defense from Team Envy. Great focus fire. Now Sentinels sent scattered to the winds, trying to survive, but they're falling back. They're splitting the formation. Envy senses blood in the water, and they're going to charge forward and wipe Sentinels off this map.
And remember, because Sentinels took so long to get the first point, they only got a minute left here, Jake. They're not really working with much time here for second as Envy cleans up and then some. What could be the last fight approaching swiftly. Look at the ult situation here, though. Do you like what you see for Sentinels or no?
I mean, they're lacking, I guess it's just going to be the single support ultimate, but I mean, time and time again, right? It's been Luna Snow's dance floor with Rye Amazing Sword of Proteus. That has been enough to get it over the line. So Sleepy, I think, is the one who can stop that with the Immortality Rune. That'll be the difference maker here. Cal as well could find a pick off before the fight really begins.
Space getting poked down a lot. All eyes on Sleepy for the regeneration domain. Cal working into the back, but it's Rye Amazing, perhaps the first mover here. Holding on to the horn. Looking at Kurova. The horn will not come out until Kurova does Fate of Both Worlds. Kaluj with the Meteor M. But it is going to be the final fight for this point. The setup here has been set. Early God of Mischief into the horn. The horn does not connect. But Gomez gets caught. Cal with the early pickoff. Sentinels. Do you have the response? Kurova with the Fate of Both Worlds. Rye Amazing waiting. Aramori is down. The window is closing right now for Sentinels. They're down 2. They're able to take down Paint. Rye Amazing has used the horn. Kaluj has used Meteor M. They're moving on forward, looking for a pickoff, but instead NK takes down Kaluj. And Envy, Jake, they're gonna hold here.
They get the hold, they get it over the line, and Cal, once again, the savior of this team, right? Even with Loki going down, just finding so many pickoffs into the Resurrects. I think that's such a powerful team up there, especially if you want to play more aggressively on the Loki, take some more risks. I mean, it's a big gamble, but when Cal finds his pickoff, it's not just a one-player swing, it's a two-player swing when he's able to res the Loki back into the fight. And I mean, Super Gomez at times went to the Hela, it worked, then back to the Star-Lord. Star-Lord, I didn't feel any impact, frankly, from Star-Lord in this map. I'm sure he's, shooting the tanks and putting some pressure on, but I mean, it's pretty obvious that Cal is getting so much more done in this game.
Well, again, it's just it's the aura that's being projected that's literally holding you back, or metaphorically holding you back, I should say, and not quite the opposite, literally. But with the Super Gomez, you show your head for 1 second, and you got daggers being thrown at it. Your window to apply pressure as Star-Lord against a Hela as good as Cal is so minimal, Jake. And I think here, even if they did want the extra Hela practice, should Envy win this map, which now they are in a very good position to do if they don't get first held, this is the last we're seeing a Hell in this series. I'm calling it right now. It's the end.
You got to be banning the hell out. You have map picks, right? So you could take us to some maps maybe that are like really congested and, use the rest of your bans. There's like a way through here, but I wish they would have banned the hell on this map. I think that would have been a smarter play given that it's so wide open. There's so much opportunity for a player as good as Cal. It's a little bit of disrespect on Cal, frankly. The way Cal's been playing this series, to let the hell out through here, it looks to me like an obvious mistake. That being said, Sentinels, I mean, this is a map that's very full holdable. There's no Dr. Strange to flip the choke. Maybe Super Gomez can just be really aggressive, punishing those enemies as they walk through the choke.
No fear. Space just gonna climb up and go, we will contest the high ground. We will try and rip it away from you, but the Loki army is up here. The regeneration domain immediately popped. Envy trying to win the choke fight right now. My question is, where's Cal? Is Cal off in the flank or is Cal off in the front right now? I think it might be buying time for Cal to find a better position.
Dude, I don't think you can get through this choke. Like, this is some crazy pressure right now from the Loki as well. Remix is through. We use everything defensive, forcing everything, but still 1 HP just barely slips out. And still, Amazing finds the kill onto Paintbrush. Starting to pour the pressure on. Super Gomez cleans up a flank fight. That's a critical 1v1 to win there from Super Gomez, right? You can imagine Cal started to turn that around, but Amazing overstep, dies to NK, and losing a defender, I think, pretty painful with how long the walk back is. Envy, you're going to have a momentary opportunity to grab a power play here.
Yeah, and if nothing else, you give up positioning here, right? We're part of the power of the defense here, and why you see Doctor Strange always used for the portal is that you can contest really aggressively before anything is gone. Instead, Space is able to walk up a little bit for free while Sentinels is waiting to be back up to full strength. Now they are back up to full strength. We'll see where this one goes. God of Mischief is going to be used here. Sleepy about to dance. Korova nearly goes down. Korova had the pop ultimate in response to the Cal pressure with Remix. So the early support or strategist ult used by Sentinels. Horn out. Gomez low. Not killed off in the middle of it. Kaluj with the Meteor M also doesn't get anything. Meteor M in from space. Diving. Looking. What's he going to get? Finds Super Gomez in the bushes. Now Envy working at the advantage. Is it going to be enough right now? Cal still a threat on the outskirts. God's Death nearly charged. And with Amazing down, Jake, Envy's looking great right now onto the first point.
Yeah, they got a lot of point to capture, but Sentinel's going to really struggle to get the recontest. Now the flank in from Cal into the back line just decapitates Sentinels, and it's going to be a point cap for Envy. Remember, there's not so much push they need to get on second. This is looking like a very potential map win for Team Envy as they look to fight back for the reverse sweep in the series.
All right, and you know the tides have changed where even Hydration in chat suddenly, Jake, is dropping the Remix reverse sweep. His heart beats. We've found it. Hydration now fully Team Remix. But will that moral support be enough? Sentinels, no stranger to adversity. Sending up
Cal.
here, Jake. Super Gomez, Galactic Legend online versus the automatic Galactic Legend and Cal. Forced back though here early. Blaster Barrage. In over the top and doesn't like that one bit. Cal pops us, Jake, not really for damage, but more so just to live.
Yeah, needed to just stay alive here. I actually don't mind that, just playing it for tempo. It's not the most consistent ultimate. Super Gomez gonna go with the legendary though. Knows Cal is on the back foot for a moment. Won't waste any time here. And this is the type of fight Sentinels need, right? One ult should be getting a big cleanup, although Envy backing well together, fighting it out. That being said, Sentinels, they know they have a huge advantage with 2 picks, going in for more, getting the solid cleanup. Can't give up any kind of a mistake here. Super, super important, but they get the job done exactly that fashion. There's no room for mistakes, though. With 3 minutes on the clock, 1 pickup from Cal could be all Envy need to break this hold open and potentially grab their first map of the series.
And for Envy, I think they're fine doing a little bit of an eco push there, too. They only need 1 good fight to take this map, to keep the series extended. And now...
Cal.
Oh, Jake,
you speak his name and he will deliver now. Starting to push forward are Envy. They've got 5 ultimates online. Sentinels have quite a few ultimates of their own, but they know they need to delay. They need to stall this clock. Kaluj needs a lot of support. Already the dance floor forced out.
They're looking for a horn right now. They're looking for Amazing. Use your lungs. Blow that horn one more time. Kaluj off the damage boost. Meteor M finds paint. That's big. Is it going to be enough, though? We have the God of Mischief being popped here by Sleepy. Envy is committing. Cal is still hunting. The horn is being blown by Amazing. And another 3 are going to go down. Sentinels getting the better of this fight. Another minute burned off the clock. And resources burned out from Envy. But 2 minutes still to go, Jake, with the convoy nearly there.
And despite heroics from Cal, Sentinels, they're so good in these heavy ultimate team fights. They really understand how to get the most out of their skills, how to get the most out of the combos and the team plays. And for now, that's been good enough. Envy, double Vanguard ult, but not the easiest ultimates to work with. That being said, Super Gomez, if he pops legendary, it's going to be an instant Meteor M from space. Very hard to get value into that matchup.
Super Gomez, how you feeling? He's probably going to say legendary up to the top. And as predicted, Meteor M out in response. Getting a lot of the factor of that Star-Lord ultimate, but also getting Meteor M out. Envy, look at their ultimate situation right now. Gods of Death up, Feast up. Are they going to get value from it? Remix going in. Says it's time to feast. And Cal finding Hog. Space on the Amazing. 2 down here for Sentinels. Envy about to extend this series. Super Gomez diving in. Blaster Barrage looking for anything. Only catches the Space hands to the face. As it's going to be Envy taking a map off Sentinels and extending this series.
We talked about Envy's conditions for victory, letting these DPS pop off, and Cal and NK both had big moments in this series, especially that defense. It was just oppressive. Sentinels tried time and time again to force their way through the small chokes. They got it over line in some big fights from their team plays, but Envy just showed, like, hey, you guys are sick on the ulti combos. You can cheese us and one-shot us with a Namor, but when it comes to the individual fragging power, we have you outclassed. And right now, when Hella's on the server, it's really looking like that for Envy. Sentinels, they've got to ban this out going forward in this series. I think it's very dangerous to take Envy as an easy victory, and they've just shown what a threat they can be.
Yeah, and we're going to take the time to bring back in Seth, even before we see him on camera in this moment. And Seth, I mean, we just saw the Hella Masterclass 2 maps in a row, and this time it actually bites Sentinels. I mean, again, if you're Sentinels, do you let this go through again, or did you finally pull the cord?
I don't think you can. Cal, when you have back-to-back performances like that, I mean, I think that there was enough logic to take it away after Midtown. They let it through, and yeah, Cal is just an absolute menace. This is kind of what we're talking about, though. Just Cal continues to deliver, and you also have good performances from NK, but the team play across the board looks a lot better for Envy. They were so close to being able to extend that Midtown to those extra innings. This time, it's a close map, but it results in a win. If they're going to continue to trend in that direction, they absolutely can pull off a reverse sweep. For Sentinels, I think you have that ace up your sleeve, potentially, which is just going to be trying to get this Hella out of the hands of Cal. But I think it's something that absolutely needs to happen, regardless if they win the next map or not. They have the pick, they have the ability to take this out of their hands. Sentinels should, in theory, be able to close the series out 3-1. But Envy, they're building up momentum, and that's a scary prospect.
Yeah, I think, you think about the momentum of the series. Map 1 was a big win for Sentinels. They probably felt super confident. Map 2, they get it over the line. They get the 2-0 win, but it's close. It's very competitive. And now Map 3, Envy, I think, fairly dominant, right? Winning with a bit of time on the clock too, making a great hold on second point, almost full holding on first point. I honestly think for Sentinels, I think they also know that they should ban Hella. I think this is a strat for them of basically just trying to trick 100 Thieves. I think they're trying to not ban Hella.
I don't think 100 Thieves is going to fall for it, man.
maybe not. But I think their goal is to, like, we're never going to ban Hella in this first series. We're going to just win anyway because we're better and we're going to outplay. And so 100 Thieves might expect that they're going to be able to use Hella, and then you just full ban the Hella into 100 Thieves, so that you at least you don't show your hand completely here in the challenger match.
Sure.
But Envy, I don't think are going to let you get away with that. I mean, from what we've seen so far, that risk is starting to look like a little bit too much for Sentinels to take. It's a little bit maybe hubris for them to think they're going to win without utilizing the ban pick to the fullest.
All right, well, we got Envy showing signs of life, led by a true Hella in Cal. Will Sentinels remove that weapon as they look to get the rematch versus 100 Thieves, or will Envy show that they have other options in play? The series still has a lot of life in it. This is Rivals Fight Night North America, and we'll see you soon after the break. Rivals Fight Night North America continues, where people went into the series thinking that Sentinels might have a quick 3-0 against Envy, but they ran into a goddess of death, if you will, in Cal, showing Hella supremacy, keeping Envy in the series. ZP here with Jake and Achilleos, and Jake, we've been talking about it for a while now. There has to be a change in the pick ban strategy for Sentinels. Going into map 4, you cannot let this threat remain.
I'm also curious to see what map Sentinels take us to. I think that's another way to approach the matchup, where Envy have shown that they want to play this, long-range duelist forward style. And so for Sentinels, you could take us to a map that, like, emphasizes the close range, right? Maybe is a little bit harder for Hella to work with on, but like we've said before, I think at this point, if you're not going to play it, you got to be banning it out, attacking it. They're going to Yggdrasil path. So if they don't ban the Hella here, or take the mirror, I'm at a loss, actually, for Sentinels.
I'm calling up Rob Moore and being like, what's going on? What, we need some help. We need understanding as far as what's happening in the internals here. Yeah, I think that it's, no matter what, we can guess and conject. Are they hiding things for 100 Thieves? Are they trying to make them think like this, that, and the other thing? You got to get to the series. You have to make it to the money match, if for any of that to matter. So I think just play it as safe as possible. Get rid of the Hella. Take it out of the equation so you don't have to worry. Cal, can they perform on other heroes, on other duelists? Yes, absolutely. But the Hella is the critical problem that we're seeing right now.
Yeah, I think up until you lose a map, right? You can be tricky with saving strats in the challenger match. It's something to be said for that meta here in the Fight Night format, where you really are focused on that challenger match. If you're a team like Sentinels, who's expecting to get there, but Envy's taking a map from you now, the gloves got to come off.
Yeah, I think here, if you went into this with the old anime trope of like, I will only show you like the bit of my power, well, congratulations. Envy has hit you hard enough that you can unleash a little bit more of your inner potential going in here. But I do agree. I think there's a little bit of gamesmanship here, because don't forget, it's not just the tournament here today, but also other tournaments over the course of the week. You always have this like meta game from teams of, we have our good stuff, do we show our best stuff? But Seth, one thing that's true in the end, teams in general don't like losing under match situations regardless. So here we go. Yes. Sentinels first ban coming up. Seth, do we see it?
Nope, we see the Groot. And I mean, Envy, I'd be curious if they actually do opt to just go ahead and protect it here, or if they do want to continue to protect. They've been doing what, Magneto this entire time. Yes. for the last 2 maps at the very least. Do they just send it on the Hela to guarantee that they have it? I honestly would love to see it. I think that it might be wise.
It's tough though, because if you don't protect the Hela, they're going to ban Magneto, and I'm not so convinced you can play the Hela with all 3 Magneto, Groot, and Strange banned. But Sentinels, are they going to let it through one more time?
Ban it. You need to ban it. Like, just full Palpatine. Well, do it. Just do it. Get rid of the Hela.
Or take the mirror. This. I would be fine with that if Sentinels play with confidence into the mirror. But this is a map where Hela goes crazy.
Yes.
Okay. I like banning it second for what it's worth. I think it would have been a bait for Envy to protect it, because you'd ban the Magneto out, which I think Sentinels are even more confident. Like, we saw the Hela on map 1, and it was just like fell flat because you couldn't come into the fight with the double dive tank coming in the mirror. So I think banning it second is actually the smarter tactical approach here from Sentinels.
All right, well, this does feel like Sentinels, kind of wisely piloting this, being able to get themselves a pretty advantageous ban. You know that basically after securing the Star-Lord, they're going to have to ban that Adam Warlock. That's just something that's going to be taken out of the equation. So it becomes a lot more predictable as far as what Envy is going to look to do. So I think Sentinels do set themselves up very nicely to try to close the series here on Yggdrasil path.
Yeah, and I think also as you head in the path, Jake, here, just this map in particular, because it can be such a good Hela map, to me, it necessitated the Hela ban, because I feel like we just would have gone into a ridiculous universe if they bring us to this map in particular and then still says, like, you can play the Hela, it's fine. So they did make some adaptations here.
Yeah, Hela really cut her teeth on Yggdrasil path in some of those like early beta tournaments that hero was just taking the game over. So I like that it's banned out here for Sentinels. I think, Envy have shown you that they're a serious team. They're not to be trifled with. Cal in particular has looked fantastic. So even with this ban, I still got my eyes on Cal. Cal and NK both have really impressed me throughout the series. That being said, there's no DPS that's quite as much of like a solo carry server admin as the Hela. I mean, Winter Soldier, very powerful, but much more team oriented.
Yeah, and I mean, that being said, I do like the Winter Soldier here, especially on defense at this first point versus a Loki. I mean, look, with what we've seen from Cal on mechanical level, we could go from the Hela show to the Again show. Remix, a little bit of dive back, nice timing. See Gomez under pressure, and we'll see how this Envy frontline, Jake, is able to hold one of the toughest choke points in the game here off the rip.
Yeah, I think Remix is kind of getting bullied out of this forward position. We'll see if he's able to stay there for now, holding on to the car position, denying any kind of progress. But little by little, I feel Sentinels are winning this poke trade, starting to take a really wide position right now.
It's going back and forth. I've been impressed with Remix just having really good sense of when to go in, when to back out, using Thing's abilities to the maximum. Regen domain used pretty early in the fight. And right now, Jake, I just feel like we're in the ult building phase where Sentinels, they're just going to Kalush's like, you ready? You ready? And Kalush's like, I'm almost there, but Cal strikes early, gets Gomez out of the sky via the Winter Soldier, sets up the 6-on-5, and now Kurova gonna burn the fate of both worlds, even down numbers. One-shot combo on the table with Kalush with Meteor M ready to go. Hasn't been used here just yet. Now, looking, Meteor M up, dives in. No kill this time, Jake, as Envy holds strong.
Big ultimates now from the defenders. Envy looking to get the cleanup with the help of that Kraken impact from Cal, who might look to chase to the spawn, but didn't find a connection there, so no executions available to come in. Seems like Sentinels are going to get the retreat back to the spawn there. But this has been characteristic of Sentinels. They're willing to commit ults in down fights, and they end up with a decent trade from a macro perspective here. So I like Sentinels' odds here in this next engagement. They never waste a team fight, even when it goes against them.
Yeah, the economy is looking pretty good. I mean, the only downside is that you look at it here, and it's actually, no, it's not even a downside. They're going to be able to use God of Mischief into the Horn.
Super Gomez,
yeah,
deleted out of the ultimate.
Gomez just died immediately. He just got clutched out. He was like, okay, we're waiting for the sub. What if your Star-Lord just dies, Jake? What the?
That's not good. And, you know, they're using that copy ultimate from Aramori, but it's really just without any aggression here. Envy responding kind, happy to take the fight now to these attackers. The Hornet Proteus comes in from NK, and Sentinels sent reeling now. Momentum strongly against them in the series. They've been just crushed in the last few team fights, and maybe they were coming into the series, you know, hiding some strats, expecting it to be an easy win, but Envy have gotten an inch right now, and they're taking a mile. They're showing that they're not to be trifled with, potentially looking towards a full hold. The ultimate economy is terrible for Sentinels.
Yeah, I mean, if you're amazing, you kind of want to wait till Fate of Both Worlds is up. Same for Kaluj. So in a way for Sentinels, you're a little bit time gated right now from Kurova getting ults up. Meanwhile, Envy gets the advantage. Clobbering time in the pickoff right after. Hog's unable to get away. Final minute here. And Sentinels, this is kind of an eco push, but they end up feeding more ult to Envy in turn.
NK is crushing the flank fight as well, and then Amor, such a huge factor that Sentinels aren't able to get through. And it's going to be kind of one last fight for Sentinels. I mean, 50 seconds on the clock, but with how many ultimates are online, it's probably going to go long, probably going to go to the overtime. Envy don't have much to work with, but Paintbrush, I think, with the dance floor is going to be really valuable in extending this fight and bridging the gap to those other ultimates coming online soon for Envy. Sentinels need to strike hard and fast here.
I think your Sentinels, you look at Gomez. Gomez will be the opener, and Raimazing the finisher here. Here comes Gomez. Galactic Legend ready to go. Raimazing uses the horn super early, unassisted. Nothing really happens from it. I mean, I guess you get Paint to use Fate of Both Worlds. But now Kaluj, Meteor M, Envy still alive here, Jake, as Kaluj goes down. Sentinels down one, final 12 seconds. This is final fight on first. Legendary, gonna be used here by Gomez. Meteor M out in turn, looking, trying to get at least one pickoff here, but the Fate of Both Worlds keeping Envy nice and healthy. Blaster Barrage in, Envy pushed a little bit into the corner here, but Envy now coming right back out. The Horde of Proteus up here for NK. Envy could be holding this here, Jake, as soon as this Fate of Both Worlds goes down.
And when these support ultimates drop, it's going to be Cal here with the Kraken Impact, looking to get a cleanup, pops it now, dives in, get the execution now, again, and again. And Sentinels have just been full held here on map 4. Envy looking to even up this series with a beautiful defense.
What in the world is going on? No Hella, no problem, Seth. I know you want to get a point in here, but what do you say about that?
I say that if I think Sentinels are going to be knocking on your doors, EP, I think they're going to say, hey, how about this? We have a suggestion for changing the format. Instead of banning characters, we get to ban opponents, and they want to ban Cal. They want to get him out of the lobby. They want to stop Envy from being able to play this guy and field him on the roster because he's just insane. NK as well. They continue to pop. The shutdowns have been looking great, and Sentinels need a fuller hold now if they want to win. Back to you two.
I mean, this whole series, I've been highlighting Raimazing mostly for the combos with the Hornet Proteus. That, like, with the strategist, they've always been hitting the damage amp, always hitting those one-shot kills. But NK has been consistently having better damage numbers, even in losing maps, showing that maybe getting a little bit better in terms of the raw deathmatch, the ability to pump damage. And I think the defense here on Yggdrasil Path is a spot where that Namor 1v1 on the flank can be game deciding. If you get a small edge on that flank, you start to push through, things get really difficult for the enemy backline. And Sentinels were never able to accomplish that. Felt like NK was winning that pretty much every time. Really no opportunity for Sentinels to break through the flank. And the Star-Lord, once again, just not really getting the value. It's a Sentinel signature, but without Kurova's team up, it doesn't feel nearly as effective.
It's been rough going for Sentinels because I think the biggest change for me in that last map too is that Sentinels usually had great ult value. The ult value was not there. They were not able to push through first despite multiple attempts. And now, Jake, we get to see if they can do a hero shooter tradition, the fuller hold for Sentinels if they want to win the map and go on to the money match, or is it going to be Envy forcing a map 5 looking resurgence? The I remix reverse sweep, as Hydration called it, potentially on the table here.
I mean, Super Gomez needs to get a lot done here on the Star-Lord because, honestly, the value of Winter Soldier is that he's going to be constantly winning that tank trade. NK moves over to the flank, gets frozen up, commits everything, but gets support now. And Sentinels went on the back foot for that, tried to respond, but the save was there. And Now Envy back to focusing the tank trade.
A little bit of blaster barrage here. Still a huge threat here too is Cal on the Winter Soldier, looking for hooks all the while in the neutral game. Actually pretty powerful up until the fact ultimate trades start coming on in. So far though, Envy good. They go for the early Loki clone here. Gonna be Fate of Both Worlds used. Galactic Legend ready for Super Gomez, who might be dead and is. Cal's able to finish it. Super Gomez wasn't able to get out after using the Blaster Barrage. And Envy with the 6-on-5. They're just looking to block the door right now, Jake. Sentinels need to go back out their own Fate of Both Worlds. It's up to Kaluj really to save this one. But here come the impacts. Kraken impact out. Will there be it again? So far, it's looking like no. Cal forced back. Kaluj, Meteor M. Sentinels looking to stay in. No kills off the Meteor M. Here comes the horn. No kills off the horn. Aramori, Fate of Both Worlds stands up, but space now, Jake. In, ready. Fate of Both Worlds. Here comes the horn. No kills off the horn. And
opportunity for Gomez.
Legendary. Finally get the kill as a second Galactic Legend comes on in from Super Gomez, but space connects, Jake.
Yeah, it looks all over here. Envy crashing over the Sentinels who are trying to make that hold. It's not to be. An Yggdrasil path goes very quickly in favor of Envy. Now on series point, down to a game 5. Sentinels after map 1, they had to think, you know, this is in the bag. We are the better team. Envy is not a threat. Now, doubt creeps in, and it's got to be more than creeping in. I mean, Sentinels are struggling in this series. This was, they brought the Heliban. Maybe they thought that would be enough to get it over the line. One more shot for Sentinels, but that was your haymaker, right? When you're up 2-1 in a series, you don't go to your second best map. You go to your best map. You go to where you think you have the best shot at closing out the series. Now we get the plan B from Sentinels, and they are an experienced team. They do have a deep book of strategies, so I have to think they've got something else in the bag that will also be threatening. But Team Envy pushing it to game 5, I think this is a really impressive showing for the squad.
Seth, at what level are you looking at this and going download complete if you are on Envy, where the ultimate combos from Sentinels, they were not hitting the same on Yggdrasil Path just now? It did not happen. We saw ult after ult where they were just able to back out and shrug it off. It's such a change from earlier in the series.
It really is. And I mean, that's as you're coming off the back of what looked like a really advantageous draft for the side of Sentinels, but just everything falling to the wayside, everything falling apart. And I think, you know, Jake was talking about it. We mentioned it earlier. If you come into a series like this and you start saying like, okay, yeah, you know what, like we're gonna be set. We're the better team here. We're gonna be able to crush this. That's where that complacency hits you in the face. That's where the desperation starts coming in. That's where you start panicking and falling apart in really, really critical moments. I mean, that shutdown we just saw from space onto Gomez, absolutely critical. But it felt like here, Envy could do no wrong. Every single ult, every single projectile, just hitting critical targets time and time again. These are the things that were, you know, kind of somewhat present at the beginning of the series, where we're saying like, okay, you know, the hero performances are looking good for Envy, but the team cohesion's not there. Now everybody's doing it. Everybody across the board, they're connecting with their ults, they're connecting with all of their abilities, and they're playing around each other so incredibly well. Sentinels, they still maintain a slight advantage in that they do have the map pick for this final one, but they have to be very concerned about this now.
Emotionally, you know, like from a purely rational perspective, you're even. But I think any professional esports player can speak to this. When you're on the brink of a reverse sweep, it doesn't feel like you're on even footing, even though you should have the edge, right? You have a map pick here, you know, that should give you a little bit of a strategic edge, but it wasn't enough last map. I mean, you could think maybe we messed up, we misplayed, but to be honest, I think the Star-Lord pick has been thoroughly shut down here by Team Envy. When there was the Adam Warlock team up, that was not the case, and I think that strat is still very strong for Sentinels, but Envy aren't going to let you get both of those
They'll never do it again.
They're not going to.
Any team. I think Sentinels, they'll probably never get it again because it's the strongest setup that they have.
Yeah,
I think they're not going to get it. And I mean, part of it is that Envy has adapted their ban and protect a lot over the course of the series. And look, I don't begrudge Sentinels. I think they had the proper ban and protect in the last game. And I still think they need to do a similar ban and protect like that for the last game. Because yeah, even though Cal still looked really good on the Winter Soldier, I don't think in a deciding map 5, Seth, you want to go and back down the Cal Hela territory. I think that strategy-wise, I think Sentinels was good. I think for me, it was the execution and maybe the fact of the reliance on the Star-Lord. Maybe you shift that part out, but I don't think you shift the Hela ban going forward.
Yeah, I think that, you know, map depending, we'll see what it is. It's going to be Hell's Heaven here, so they're going to be taking us back to domination. But I mean, even then, we saw earlier that Hela can still have an immense amount of impacts there. So I think that banning it away still probably is likely for Sentinels. But I mean, how much more do you dig? You know, do you change up the lion's share of the draft and what you're trying to protect here to get into a better position? Like, do you try to protect the Adam Warlock instead of protecting the Star-Lord and to try to run something around that so that at least you can run the triple healer? You know, I really don't know where Sentinels' heads are going to be at coming into this.
You know, I think this is a much better map for Star-Lord, even though we can assume they're not going to get the Adam Warlock team up. I think this is like a much more congested map, and domination in general plays to some of the tempo that Star-Lord can bring. So maybe that front to back strategy that Cal and NK were able to provide on the last map, maybe they'll be forced off of that. That being said, that's far from a certainty, right? You think about Europe, where Team VP, they're pretty much playing they're super happy to play the Winter Soldier and the Namor, and they'll throw a Hela in there if you leave it unbanned, but they're still very confident, even without the Hela, playing a front-to-back strategy. So pressure's on for Sentinels, but like you guys said, I don't know that there's really a change-up I want to see in the ban protect. I'm just starting to get worried for them in this series in general. I feel like Envy has been just picking up steam. They've been learning throughout this series. You got to remember, this Envy team is very new. They have very limited practice time together, very limited experience in the game, and this is an extremely scary place to be for the Sentinels roster, who had a huge strategic edge in Marvel Rivals, was coming into this the heavy favorite, drastically more experience in the game, drastically more prep time. And if you fall now to Team Envy, you got to be asking some very serious questions.
Well, the ban protect phase is coming on in here, and yeah, immediately they just say no Hela. We're not even gonna toy with the idea of keeping it for later. We're still big on that. Envy's still the Strange ban, which, by the way, I think 100% is an anti-Kaluge ban, because Kaluge, while still good on Magneto, I think Kaluge is even better on Strange. Yeah, it is 100% anti-Kaluge. We'll see who Sentinels protect here. I do wonder if he'll be the Star-Lord, because I think the most potent point we've brought up here is the fact that Star-Lord has been struggling, and you know what, Seth? They still stick with it. Ride or die.
It also forces the hand of your opponent. Like, they have to ban Adam Warlock now. Like, there's really, I feel like, no choice for Team Envy as far as that ban goes. And they are, interesting, still going to get the group ban. So just flipping the order of the bans. In the end, though, same result as last map, unless Envy change it up. No, it's basically the exact same bans, just different order.
Yeah, I mean, this is Sentinels again kind of being able to somewhat dictate the way that, you know, the final ban goes from Envy, but I don't think that Envy is going to be too bothered about that, given just how that previous map went. If Gomez isn't able to get into positions where he's having such heavy impact, it feels like Sentinels are very much just on struggle street from there on out. I mean, you're talking about how condensed of a map it is, and you know how things can be good for the Star-Lord. I think having a condensed map can also work really well when you're just bringing up Bucky to the forefront, because you have really easy grapples on targets to just kind of go ahead, isolate a pick, take them down. Your right click is going to be able to get a solid amount of damage through to get the reset on your gun. I think that this could be yet another map where Cal just kind of goes off.
Also, a little bit of housekeeping before we get into our final map. Before we go into the money match, this is Rivals Fight Night. Remember, every Thursday we are doing this. Make it part of your routine. Also, check YouTube. We got that up now. If you miss any of the action, we got VODs up of everything that's been going on and future content to come in the future. And also, a big shout out to our sponsor that makes all of this happen and more. Intel is the best. You want to upgrade your PC? Go check out Intel and what they have for you. But Jake, let's check out these rosters here. The gates are opening. The time for trolling is over. And you take a look here at Sentinels when all's on the line. It's triple Vanguard is the play.
Okay, they're going to go all in for it. I don't mind it, but we'll see if it actually pays off. Historically, Sentinels has been really good on this comp. Let's see what Super Gomez can do on the Thor. Envy's got to be very careful. There's a lot of power to pull people out of position with this Thor, so mistakes in positioning can be punished very hard. That being said,
just like that, just as you say that, Cal says, "You're no god to me," gets the arm hook, takes him out, sets up the 6v5 for Envy. Envy looking very healthy here, right? Amazing. On to the Star-Lord, playing it now instead of Super Gomez, who's on the tank. But Remix swings away, finds Aramori, and it's easy cleanup here for Envy, Jake. A reversal from our first map, which was also domination.
It's starting to look grim, because you look at this duelist line, right? Like, honestly, I think you'd rather have Winter Soldier into the triple Vanguard, right? Like, that ability to pull somebody out of position. Thor is a massive damage dealer, but relatively squishier than most of the other Vanguards in the lineup. Team Envy now taking this forward hold. Sentinel's got to walk up through the overwhelming spam pressure that Cal and NK have been putting down on them. And you got to, I mean, think of those duelists. They are going to do so much damage into this comp.
Envy right now in the driver's seat. Sentinels looking for a way back in, real close to getting a whole lot of ults online are both teams. Still neutral to start this off. Sleepy, God of Mischief, ready to go. The dance should be happening soon. Instead, Cal, Kraken Impact immediately gets 2. That's not killing clones, Jake. That's just killing bodies.
This series is starting to get out of control. Team Envy charging forward to a victory. They were the underdogs, but they want to be in the money match. There's NK with a triple. Not even really needed in this fight, but they're gonna just wipe Sentinels off of the map. They know this is a team that is threatening even down numbers. And Sentinels, I wonder, are they gonna make a change now? It's starting to get scary. You just keep getting picked off on the walk-up by Cal, who's been that constant thorn in your side throughout the series. Starting to get very annoying, very scary. But on this triple Vanguard setup, what can you really do about Winter Soldier?
I mean, Winter Soldier is one of your bigger counters. He can pull you out of position. He can ruin your day. But here we go. Galactic Legend gonna be popped here early by Amazing, looking for anything. Kaluj, Meteor M, looking and looking into the back, into the regen domain. Does nothing.
So sick.
And here we go. Aramori with the fate of both worlds here. Sleepy returning the favor in turn. Sentinels using their entire ult bank here, Jake. No one has fallen yet for Envy, and Cal is ready to return the favor. Kraken Impact almost online.
Cal looking for a hook that could be huge. Pulls in Aramori, who's in trouble on the point, has to TP out, but the damage has been done. And Team Envy gonna win this round, gonna put themselves on series point here. Sentinels stumbling at the finish line, and Envy sense a weakness now as they just clean Sentinels off the map 100-0 after 2 back-to-back map wins. This is looking dire for the Sentinels.
People didn't believe Hydration in the chat when Hydration dropped the hashtag #iRemix reverse sweep. We are 1 round away from that being reality, breaking everyone's expectations for the money match soon to come. Envy has brought the Sentinels to the brink, and we'll get to see now if Sentinels can bring this back. And Jake, for now, it looks like they will play as they've practiced. They are sticking on this triple Vanguard comp as we head into round 2.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not that familiar with the meta around triple Vanguard, but I would have thought that first map with it, you know, being so congested, so close range is a decent spot for the triple Vanguard setup. And Envy, they didn't even have to dump everything to win that last round. They have a pretty solid ult bank going into the second round. And Sentinels, I can't quite say the same for them. Maybe they could get super aggressive, but there's so much threat here from somebody like Cal. I mean, the executions are so powerful against Vanguards, and Sentinels, they don't really have a defensive tool yet.
Sentinels gonna need to dig deep into what could be a very unfavorable first fight by the ult economy. Jake, the way Cal's been playing, I feel like Cal is gonna see them and just immediately let it rip. Let the Kraken Impact do the talking. We'll see if that's the case for now. Looking for the early hook, does not connect. Now, going underneath. Kraken Impact, good to go. Waiting right now, and the early picks still come out. No ult required from Cal. It's just Remix winning in the neutral.
NK has been such a hero on this Namor. I mean, we focused on Cal, and I think that's for good reason, but NK has been lighting it up this series, and now with Sentinel stumbling, every second of this fight is just more opportunity for Namor to just pump damage. And Sentinel's comp, they need to get kills quickly. Like, if this becomes a long-term damage trade, you just cannot outlast heroes like Namor and Winter Soldier. Sentinels, they're trying to like run this strat. It's just not working whatsoever. They haven't really been able to get into a decent engagement. They're just constantly dying to picks. Envy is smothering them with the pressure.
Sentinels is committed, but they might be committed into doom. As they move in, Cal licking his chops. The Kraken Impact is ready to go. Cal, though, might be dead. Focused on down. Aramori with the finishing blow. And Sentinels catch Cal off guard. They don't let him get the early start. An economical fight opening here for Sentinels as the God of Thunder comes on down. Super Gomez looking for a little bit of cleanup here. Sentinels still burning quite a bit in terms of ultimates. Fate of both worlds about to fade. And yet Envy, they're buying some time here, Jake, even when it is probably a losing fight. They even make Kaluj use the Meteor M.
Yeah, Sleepy did double down with, you know, the copied Luna Snow ultimate, so made sense here. Namor gonna drop late. But it gets a lot out of the Sentinels as well. They're not able to win that one for free. And so I think Team Envy, that's showing real fight there to continue to double down in what ends up being a losing fight, but the trade ends up being solid for them. They have a real chance to get back in. And while I say that, though, I do think Sentinels, the triple Vanguard comp, the real strength of it should be holding down choke points. It should be very difficult for Envy to come through a choke when they have these range damage dealers. Sentinels are all about the close range brawl, the aggression, and so holding the cap should be their strength, but there's always the chance for that Kraken Impact.
Early Galactic Legend, pressure on the space. Space able to back on out. Can Amazing find anything else right now? It's looking a bit doubtful. Galactic Legend is over. Envy still on top. Cal's been holding on to this Kraken impact for a while. When it's going to make its notice known, Sleep is able to get down Hogs. And here come the resets again and again. In comes Cal, looking for one more. Four, real close. Gets it at the end.
Kill them all,
Gets one more. Yeah, this is full cleanup. And it's, you look at the progress here. Envy will take control again at 50%.
Still though, Sentinels holding on, gonna double down.
Going.
Getting these resets off the Loki clones is such a powerful interaction as Cal is just eating them alive one by one by one. He's got another reset if he even needs it. Continuing to dive into the spawn. There's players who already died to the Kraken impact coming back into the fight. They think better of it. He could go one more. Oh, if he got on the Loki clone, like I think he wanted to, he could have had that ult running for like 30 seconds or something ridiculous. And being able to get that done with such few ultimates, once again, Sentinels are in this unenviable position of walking up into NK and Cal, who are just dumping damage down main.
66% to 66%. Sentinels on the verge of getting knocked out before the money match, looking for a way in. What is getting close to what could be final fight. Hogs leading the way here on the thing. Moving over and in. Gonna be answered here by Paint. Fate of both worlds in. Aramori gonna have the same in turn. Super Gomez got a Thunder, locked and loaded, ready to go. Into the backline we go. Waiting right now. Instead, Meteor M in from space, trying to shut on down. No kill from that. Remix was able to take down Amazing. Sentinels with 5 versus NV6, 90%. Paint fights Kaluge. Sentinels with 3 people left, about to be knocked out into the money match as Cal again and again has put Envy over the top towards the very end, 99%. And it is Envy knocking out Sentinels and moving forward to face 100 Thieves. Hashtag iRemix reverse sweep. You heard it from Hydration first.
We talked about Sentinels being the clear favorite today. Envy being that distant dark horse with much less prep time, much less experience in Rivals, but experience counts for nothing. It's fragging power for everything here. Cal and NK leading the squad to victory. And we saw Envy evolve throughout this series, building that confidence, finding opportunities. And throughout every single map, it was just better and better and better for them. And now this is a team that I think looks ready to face 100 Thieves. Despite this being just a 3-2, it feels so much more dominant based on how the series played out.
Seth, you saw all of this as our analyst for the series. I don't think anyone could have predicted this level of reverse sweep. You know, we were looking at it, was like, okay, Sentinels might just 3-0 it. Okay, you know, Cal's actually quite good. They're making a presence known. And they just got better and better over the course of the series to where the Sentinels tricks that were working, you know, in the first 2 maps lost effectiveness. The ult combos just stopped hitting the same way.
Did we predict it? No. Did we expect it? Also no. But we did kind of lay the path for where and how this would be possible for the side of Envy. Complacency perhaps from the side of Sentinels, but just the continued improvement map over map here from the side of Envy. It was clear. Blown out of the water on the first one, a close loss on the second, into a close victory, into a lot more domination throughout there. Envy just started getting the gears turning. Cal, I mean, the whole team was widely just leveling up their performance. I think off the back of Cal, maybe inspired by him. Maybe he was the one who just really, maybe he was the one who got into the locker room and he had the inspiring speech that the team so desperately needed. But I talked about it. I was like, okay, you got to tighten it map here. That Winter Soldier is going to wreak havoc, and wreak havoc it did. Reset after reset. I mean, like you said, Jake, we almost had like a 30+ second long crack in there. Just unbelievable performances from Envy, and honestly, a well-deserved win. I think Sentinels, they need to zoom out a little bit and really assess what the hell they're doing, because they are just very much ham-fisting either these triple healers or these triple Vanguard compositions, and it's not quite up to snuff.
Well, here's what I'll say here. This brings us to our MVP. And look, there's only one person this could be, Jake. The storyline for Envy, the hero that looked great all match long. Tell us a little bit about Cal.
You know, Cal just came into this series on map 1, really struggled. I mean, I think the bans from Sentinels were really well placed, and they didn't allow these backline damage dealers to get value. That being said, for the rest of the series here on map 2, Cal was just doing wild things on this Hela, constantly flanking, constantly finding picks. Sentinels barely got it over the line here, but that was not for lack of trying from Cal, who put on a master performance. And then for the rest of the series, Cal found his footing even when the Hellaband started to come in against him on the Winter Soldier. Didn't stop for even a second, still continuing to push the tempo and play so incredibly fast, always having Sentinels on the back foot. So a lot of respect on Cal right now. I'm really excited to see this matchup of Cal versus Djalia here in the money match against 100 Thieves.
That one should absolutely deliver. I think that does sound damn exciting, especially if the hell is going to be let through by both teams, and I don't think either team is particularly going to look to ban that one away. So I think that's going to be awesome to watch. But yeah, Cal just on another level here as the series had progressed. Like we said, from going from hero plays kind of being one of the ones that was very much finding value where the team otherwise was struggling. And then that transitions fully into just cohesive team play, hero plays across the board, everybody being so mechanically on point for those latter three maps. Envy, I think they've absolutely just shocked they've shocked the world. They've shocked everybody who's watching.
Shock the world.
Shock the world. Ugh. Yeah, there's your new tagline, I suppose. But just huge plays, and you love to see it because I mean an underdog story is always a good one.
Yeah, and also I have to say here for Envy, you think about Envy's scouting here, whether it be Tasvo or Hastro. Hastro's right now reviewing the contract. It's like, how long did I sign Cal to? All right, can we extend this? Can it be longer? Like Cal
yeah, he's calling up Rob Moore. He's talking some trash, I think, is what he's doing, and then he's going to look at that contract. But at first, I think you got to get your the comeuppance there.
Yeah, no, I think that would be on brand on all levels.
Wait, we need to get a Twitter check. We got a production. Let me just get a quick review because I feel like there's got to be something here. I haven't checked anything. I'm catching that vibe.
Okay, I'm looking at myself right now because that actually would be a thing. No, there's no Hastro.
Oh, come on, Hastro. You're slow. You're losing your edge, man. We gotta see the BM tweets already being out.
Yeah, dude, Hastro of like at least like 6 years ago, there'd be like 5 tweets out already. It would be no question. But guys, it is Envy moving on to the money match to rip that $1,000 away from 100 Thieves potentially. But 100 Thieves, they look to be potentially the most dominant team in Rivals, perhaps only matched by Virtus Pro on the EU side. No matter what, we have a great match heading for you soon, but it'll be all this action and more right after the break.